After Zhou Hao left the Coca-Cola company with a nervous look on his face, Dai Jiawen still maintained a confident smile on his face, as if he had just exposed Zhou Hao's thoughts. When he recalled Zhou Hao's thoughts that he had guessed earlier, Dai Jiawen still had a confident smile on his face. Dai Jiawen seemed to have lost his soul a little. The depression brought by Zhou Hao's scheme earlier was also swept away, as if he had regained his reputation. After returning to his spacious and comfortable office, the secretary's voice came from the machine on the table. "Mr. Dai, there is a lady who wants to see you." Who is it?" Dai Jiawen, who was in a good mood, asked. The secretary answered truthfully, "She didn't say, but she said you would be willing to listen to her." Dai Jiawen's mind turned, and he thought of the Black Widow. These days, she had been following her own instructions to investigate the details of Zhou Hao's failed investment. Thinking of this, he said to the secretary, "Pick up the phone, Mr. Dai." It was indeed the voice of the Black Widow. Dai Jiawu knew that the Black Widow was looking for him now, so it must be because of the results of the investigation on Zhou Hao. He immediately asked, "Did you find out about Zhou Hao's investment company? Did he really lose a lot of money?" "We found out that Zhou Hao registered an investment company called Galaxy in Hong Kong." The Black Widow's voice came from the phone. "We stole the account book of Galaxy. Judging from the situation in the account book, Galaxy lost over 487 billion Hong Kong dollars. Although Dai Jiawen had guessed that Zhou Hao's investment had lost a lot of money, he could not help but raise his eyebrows when he heard the number. He asked the Black Widow, "What kind of business did Zhou Hao invest in? Could he have buried all his money in Hong Kong's spicy garbage dump?" "We have tracked it down. Galaxy invested all their money in South Korea. Due to the rise in real estate and stock markets in South Korea, Zhou Hao might have taken a liking to this, so he invested all his money in South Korea. Who would have thought that South Korea would hit the rock in Asia's financial storm? The stock market and exchange rates have collapsed. Not only did the Galaxy lose all their money, but they also owe a large sum of money." The Black Widow explained, "Actually, it's not only Zhou Hao. Many banks and investment companies in Japan that invested in Korea have also been affected, causing the current stock market in Japan to experience a considerable drop." Dai Jiawen laughed coldly. "That Zhou Hao is really unlucky. He just happened to run into a financial storm." "Oh right, Mr. Dai, we also found something," the Black Widow said. "The funds given by Xian and the Union Society to the Galaxy are not that simple. We suspect that they are the ones who let the Galaxy wash away the black money. Furthermore, we estimate that the total amount of the black money will not be just the 4 billion that is recorded in the account book. There might be an even greater amount." Dai Jia instantly frowned when he heard this. He muttered to himself, "He actually helped the gangs to launder money? Humph. Humph. Who are the gangs? No wonder he was in such a hurry to raise money." He slowly stroked the hard roots of his chin and said to the Black Widow, "You did well this time. I will first transfer 1 million to your account. However, you must continue to inquire about the new beverage developed by Sky River. Also, I saw that Zhou Hao really talked about selling Sky River with Zhu Huaxi, who was selling Coke. Check the price they set." "Got it." After the call ended, Dai Jiawen leaned back on the chair and turned the chair toward the window. He looked at the magnificent view of Shanghai and muttered to himself with his eyes narrowed, "No matter what, I can't let Coke get the Sky River." At the same time, Liang Fengshan was basking in the sun by the swimming pool in his villa. Next to him was a woman in a bikini swimsuit with an attractive figure. In the swimming pool, she was wearing a bikini swimsuit. There were also 2 beautiful women in sexy swimsuits swimming freely in the water, just like 2 mermaids. "Young Master Liang, come, have a glass of juice." The girl beside Liang Fengshan brought a glass of orange juice to his mouth. Liang Fengshan opened his mouth and held the straw in his mouth. He took a sip of the juice and reached out his hand at the same time. He grabbed the girl's breast without any restraint and started kneading it with great force. He said with a frivolous smile, "I say, how did you grow these things? *M*, they are so big. They must have come to seduce men." The woman felt pain from being pinched by Liang Fengshan, but she still pretended to be enjoying it on her face. She said coyly, "If I don't seduce anyone, I will seduce you, young Master Liang." Liang Fengshan laughed and stretched his hand into her swimsuit, playing with her chest. At the same time, Ding Guangxiong hurried over from the outside with a few beads of sweat on his forehead. "Hey Xiong, you're here?" Liang Fengshan saw Ding Guangxiong, but he still did not withdraw his hand from the girl's chest. Instead, he seemed even more unrestrained. Ding Guangxiong stared at the girl who was show-off. He secretly swallowed his saliva, then quickly retracted his gaze and said to Liang Fengshan, "Boss, the The Zhou Hao you asked me to investigate earlier has returned from Hong Kong. Liang Fengshan saw Ding Guangxiong peeking at the girl beside him and smiled in his heart. When he heard the news from Hong Kong, he immediately sat up and said, "There's news? Hurry up and say it." Ding Guangxiong nodded and said, "Boss, the Zhou Hao in the photo you gave me is the same as the Zhou Hao I've heard of before. It's the same person. My friend in Hong Kong has been confirmed. My friend has also found out about the investment company he opened. It's called Galaxy Investment Company. Then, his Galaxy Investment Company really lost a lot of money and owes a lot of money to the gangs?" Yes, what Biao Wang said was right. That Galaxy Investment Company really owes a lot of money to Xian and E-Star. Ding Guangxiong explained. And my friend in Hong Kong also said that the Galaxy Investment Company is actually helping Xian and E-Star to wash their money. The total amount is probably tens of billions of Hong Kong dollars. However, Galaxy Investment has invested these funds into South Korea. During this period of time, South Korea's stock market collapsed due to the financial storm, causing Zhou Hao and the rest to lose everything. After listening to Ding Guangxiong's words, Liang Fengshan was first stunned, then he burst into laughter. He continuously slapped his thigh and laughed. Zhou Hao, I never thought that you would have such a day. Ha 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 ha. Ding Guangxiong said again, my friend's boss is a hall master of Xian. He said that both Xian and E-Star are urging Zhou Hao to return the money, making Zhou Hao not even dare to go to Hong Kong. He. Liang Fengshan's laughter sounded extremely sinister. He said, I was thinking that Zhou Hao would not be in such a sorry state, even if he owes them a few billion yuan because of the Zhao family's support. I didn't expect him to be so bold as to help the gangs launder money. If that's the case, I'm sure he wouldn't dare to let the Zhao family know about it. In Liang Fengshan's opinion, even if Zhou Hao owed billions of dollars in debt, with the support of the Zhao family, he would definitely be able to borrow a huge sum of money from the domestic banks to alleviate the situation. He wouldn't be in such a sorry state. This was because he knew that if he had the support of the higher-ups, it would be a piece of cake for him to reduce the value of loans from the banks. The Fengshan Group was basically built up by borrowing funds from the banks. He pinched his chin and said with a sinister smile, should I tell the Zhao family about him helping the gangs to launder money? He. Isn't his biggest reliance on the Zhao family? If he doesn't have the support of the Zhao family, I'll see if he can still bark. Ding Guangxiong said, Boss, this isn't good. Firstly, we don't have any evidence. Secondly, you said that the Zhao family is very powerful. If Zhou Hao refuses to admit it, it will be troublesome for him to bite us back. That makes sense. Liang Fengshan smiled and looked at Ding Guangxiong. I didn't expect you to think so fast. He stood up from his chair and walked back and forth by the pool. He kept rubbing his chin and murmured, well, this is a good opportunity to completely defeat Zhou Hao. I must seize it. Suddenly, he saw that although Ding Guangxiong was quietly standing there, his gaze was always on the girl by the pool. He immediately smiled. Hey Xiong, you did well this time. I have always been a person with a clear distinction between rewards and punishments. He. Do you like Ollie? When the girl who was applying sun oil by the pool heard Liang Fengshan's words, her expression immediately changed. She was obviously Ali. Ding Guangxiong looked at Ali and swallowed his saliva, but did not speak. This was tacit agreement. Ha. As a man, who doesn't like beautiful women? Liang Fengshan said with a smile, Ali, you will accompany He Xiong well tonight. As long as He Xiong is served well, I will reward him handsomely. Thank you, boss. He Xiong's eyes lit up, and he said with a hoarse voice. Ali trembled slightly, but she didn't dare disobey Liang Fengshan, because she knew that these women were only Liang Fengshan's playthings and couldn't resist. Liang Fengshan didn't feel reluctant to part with them. A woman like Ali wasn't worth him giving his heart to. Moreover, Ding Guangxiong was so greedy and lecherous that it made Liang Fengshan feel more at ease to use him. Liang Fengshan also knew that it was easy to control a weak person. Only then would he be able to use him with peace of mind. At this moment, the phone that Liang Fengshan had placed on the coffee table rang. Liang Fengshan frowned and picked it up to stick to his ear. He heard Jukin Sataka's voice from the phone. Young Master Liang, are you next to the TV? What's wrong? Jukin Sataka said, go and take a look. Many media outlets in the country are reporting that Coca-Cola wants to buy Sky River. The news brought by Jukin Sataku had given Liang Fengshan a huge shock. He couldn't care less about Ding Guangxiong and the girl called Ali. He rushed back to the villa and turned on the TV in the living room. The TV was playing a financial news program. The male reporter in a suit said, according to the latest news, at around 10 o'clock this morning, a staff member of the Coca-Cola Company's China branch who does not want to reveal his name, said that the Coca-Cola Company is going to purchase the famous private company in China, Tianhe Drink Group. There's also news that the Coca-Cola Company's China region president, Mr. Dai Jiawen, has signed a preliminary purchase contract with the chairman of the Milky Way Drink Group, Mr. Gu Zhongtu. Then, the image on the TV changed and the Coca-Cola Company's Shanghai branch was surrounded by reporters from various TV stations and newspapers. Dai Jiawen, who just came out, was blocked. The reporters immediately rushed forward like tigers and wolves and surrounded Dai Jiawen. Mr. Dai, someone in your company said that you are going to buy the Tianhe Drink Group. Is this true? Mr. Dai, there is news that you have signed a preliminary contract with the Tianhe Drink Group. What is your purchase price? Mr. Dai, your Coca-Cola Company also proposed to purchase the Tianhe Drink Group, but they were rejected by the Tianhe Group. This acquisition plan, are you determined to get it? Mr. Dai, are you going to buy the Tianhe Drink Group because the Tianhe Drink Group has been rising in the beverage market in China recently and has taken over a lot of the Coca-Cola market? More than 10 microphones came in front of Dai Jiawen. The reporters' questions were like waves. The Coca-Cola Company's security personnel had already come out and quickly protected Dai Jiawen, who was in the center of the storm. However, the news this time had caused a huge uproar in the country. The reporters were not willing to let Dai Jiawen go so easily. Under the protection of a few security officers, it was difficult for him to break through. Finally, Dai Jiawen, who was a little overwhelmed, said to the reporters, "Everyone, regarding this matter, I can say that our Coca-Cola Company does not have the intention of purchasing the Heavenly River Drink Group for the time being. However, it's undeniable that the Tianhe Drink Group is a powerful and outstanding company." One of the quick-witted reporters immediately asked, "Mr. Dai, you just said that the Coca-Cola Company doesn't have any intention of acquiring the Tianhe Drink Group for the time being. Does that mean that you will have the possibility of acquiring the Heavenly River Drink Group in the future?" This question immediately resonated with the other reporters, and they all voiced their doubts. Dai Jiawen said, "I can't comment on this. After all, I can't make full decisions regarding the company's matters. Whether or not I will acquire the Tianhe Drink Group will still depend on the company's headquarters." Another reporter asked, "Mr. Dai, as your old rival, is Coke interested in the Tianhe Drinks Group?" Mr. Zhu Huaxi of the Pepsi Company had just revealed that it was possible for the company to acquire the Heavenly River Beverage Group. Would you compete with the company to acquire the Heavenly River Beverage Group again? I'm sorry, everyone. I still have a meeting to host. I'll take my leave now. Dai Jiawen did not answer the reporter's question. He quickly broke through the reporter's encirclement and returned to the company with the help of the security guards. The reporters wanted to chase after them, but they were stopped by the security guards. The scene returned to the inside of the television station. The male reporter said to the camera, "The reporter from our station interviewed Dai Jiawen from Coca-Cola and Zhu Huaxi from Pepsi. Both of them did not explicitly say that they would not buy the Tianhe Drink Group. Therefore, although the matter of Coca-Cola and Pepsi purchasing the Heavenly River Drink Group was not made clear, the presidents of both companies did not deny the possibility of it. Regarding this matter, our reporter contacted the chairman of the Tianhe Drink Group, Mr. Gu Zhongtu. Here is my interview with Mr. Gu Zhongtu over the phone." Therefore, a young male voice was heard from the television. It should be the reporter from the television station. He asked, "Mr. Gu, is the rumor of this acquisition true? What do you think?" Then came the voice of a middle-aged man. "You also said that this was just a rumor. Of course it's not true. However, Coca-Cola and Pepsi did not say that they would not buy it. Does that mean that it's possible?" "Actually, I can't rule out that possibility," Gu Zhongtu said on the phone. A reporter from the TV station immediately asked, "Can you say that if the price offered by Coca-Cola and Pepsi is right, you will agree to sell the Tianhe Drink Group?" "I didn't say that," Gu Zhongtu replied faintly. The reporters from the television station asked again and again, but Gu Zhongtu still didn't say anything. In the end, he hung up the phone on the excuse that he was busy with work. The male broadcaster from the television station said, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is the situation of this station's interview. The Tianhe Drink Group is a very large beverage company in Guangdong. After the introduction of orange juice drinks orange juice, it has become famous throughout the country. It is a rising beverage company in the country. This time, such a storm suddenly occurred. Many people in the industry speculated that the Heavenly River Drink Group was facing financial difficulties, but Mr. Gu Zhongtu didn't respond to them." After explaining the recent situation of the Heavenly River Drink Group, the male broadcaster finally said, "Regarding this incident, I will continue to follow the report and provide first-hand information to the audience." After the program ended, Liang Fengshan, who was in front of the television, did not speak for a long time. Ding Guangxiong also came in early and stood behind him. He picked up the phone and asked, Jukin Sataku, what do you think about this matter? Is that Zhou Hao really going to sell Heavenly River? Liang Fengshan naturally knew that Gu Chongdao was just a puppet of Zhou Hao. Because Zhou Hao was backed by the Zhao family, they wouldn't allow Zhou Hao to openly borrow the energy of the Zhao family. Just like Liang Fengshan's Fengshan Group, the legal representative of the Fengshan Group wouldn't write his own name, so as to avoid bringing unnecessary trouble to his father, Liang Zhendong. Jukin Sataka said, I think it's very possible. Right now, the attitudes of Coca-Cola, Coke, and Sky River are all very ambiguous. Although Dai Jiai and Zhu Huaxi did not admit to buying Sky River, they did not say anything. Besides, Coca-Cola had already tried to buy the Sky River. They were very interested in the Sky River. So, I think it should be true. After a long time, Liang Fengshan laughed out loud. He even bent over and said, it seems that Zhou Hao is really at his wit's end. He actually wants to sell the Sky River. Suddenly, his laughter stopped. The gloating expression on his face gradually became fierce and ferocious. He said, even if that be asterisk star Zhou Hao is forced to sell out the Heavenly River, I still can't vent my anger. Liang Fengshan turned around and looked outside. He clenched his fists tightly. The reason why I want to establish the Fengshan Group is to reach that be asterisk star Zhou Hao. Although he was going to sell the Heavenly River and lose, he was going to buy Coca-Cola or Coke. In other words, I was not able to defeat Zhou Hao. Ding Guangxiong opened his mouth, as if he wanted to say something, but swallowed the words he was about to say. Liang Fengshan glanced at him and said, if you have something to say it. In front of me, there is no need to be afraid. Boss, since you want to defeat Zhou Hao with your own hands, then if the Fengshan Group is the one who bought that Heavenly River, does that mean that you have defeated Zhou Hao with your own hands? Ding Guangxiong asked in a low voice. Liang Fengshan seemed to be stunned for a moment. Then, a bright light flashed in his eyes. Suddenly, he grabbed Ding Guangxiong's shoulder and shouted, that's right, hey Xiong, you're right. He paced back and forth in circles in the hall, his face full of excitement as he muttered to himself, that's right, that's right. If I bought the Sky River and took it from him, I would be able to defeat that be asterisk star Zhou Hao. Yes, that's right. Let's do it. Jukin Sataka's voice came from the phone, but young Master Liang, even if we collect all the money from the stock, the company's funds will not be more than 1 billion renminbi. Moreover, our company still owes the bank more than 3 billion renminbi. How can we have so much money to buy the Heavenly River? He said, I roughly estimate the total assets of Tianhe. If we want to buy Tianhe successfully, we need at least 8 billion renminbi. This is not a problem for Coca-Cola and Pepsi, but for us, we don't have that much money. Hearing this, the excitement on Liang Fengshan's face immediately sank. He was very angry in his heart. This Jukin Sataku would say something that would dampen his mood and pour cold water on him. He said impatiently, you don't have to worry about the money. Don't tell me I can't get the money. But you don't have to say anymore. Are you the boss now, or am I the boss? Liang Fengshan shouted, go and ask around. Are Coca-Cola and Coke really going to buy Tianhe? Also, what is the price of their purchases? He gritted his teeth and said, I must get Zhou Hao's Tianhe this time. And Li Rulin, it would be best to get Li Rulin back as well and get revenge for that arrow. Zhou Hao was also watching the news on TV when he saw Dai Jiawen being surrounded by reporters. Zhou Hao couldn't help but laugh. I'm afraid old Dai is under a lot of pressure now. I heard that he wants to find out about the company's staff who spread the rumors. Humph. How can he find it, right? Mr. Zhou, you were right. Behind Zhou Hao was a young man about 25 or 26 years old. He was tall and straight, and he had a pair of black-rimmed glasses. He looked like a well-educated young man. This young man's name was Qi Jiwen. He graduated from the United States Stanley University a few years ago. Then, he went to Wall Street in New York to be the manager of a securities company. He also followed the securities company to sell shares. However, due to the wrong decision of that securities company, Qi Jiwen suffered heavy losses. He also lost all his savings and even owed hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Qi Jiwen and Zhou Hao, the #1 operator of Galaxy Investment, were classmates in high school. According to Song Jiahao, he and Qi Jiwen were 2 top science students in high school. They were rivals and friends who appreciated each other. Later, Song Jiahao got into Peking University. Qi Jiwen, who had a better family background, went to the Standard University in the United States. Although Song Jiahao and Qi Jiwen were in different universities, they both majored in finance. After they graduated, they coincidentally joined the securities industry. Although they were separated by the ocean, their relationship did not decrease. Also, the securities industry required information to circulate, so the two kept in touch. When Qi Qiwen found out that Song Jiahao worked for a young boss and earned tens of millions of dollars from his investment, he was very envious. He was also very curious about the young boss that Song Jiahao often praised. When Song Jiahao found out that Qi Qiwen failed to invest and even owed hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, Song Jiahao did not hesitate to transfer the money to him to pay the debt. At the same time, he suggested that he return to his country and work for Zhou Hao with him. Qi Huan was a man who valued friendship. He was very grateful to Song Jiahao for repaying his debt. He was also very curious about the genius boss that Song Jiahao mentioned. Therefore, he left America and returned to China. When Song Jiahao brought Qi Qiwen to Zhou Hao, Qi Qiwen was stunned by Zhou Hao's young age. He thought that this was the one Song Jiahao mentioned, the one who was younger than George Soros and Julian. Was this the boss of Stock God that Robeson was even more powerful than? Zhou Hao was also quite satisfied with this Qi Qiwen. On the one hand, someone who was praised by Song Jiahao must be someone extraordinary. On the other hand, Zhou Hao had also seen Qi Qiwen's resume and knew that he had good results on Wall Street. It was only because he was dragged down by his securities company that he failed. After that, Zhou Hao did not arrange Qi Qiwen to be in Galaxy Investment Company. Instead, he let him come to Shanghai first to plan his plan. Zhou Hao was prepared to test Qi Qiwen. If he really had the ability, then he would not hesitate to give Qi Qiwen an opportunity to put him in an important position. At this time, Qiwen handed a document to Zhou Hao and said, "Mr. Zhou, this is the company you asked me to investigate that has a loan relationship with the construction bank and industrial and commercial bank." After Zhou Hao took the document, Qi Qiwen said, "There are 7 companies here. A total of 30 billion renminbi was borrowed from the construction bank and the industrial and commercial bank. Moreover, they are all listed companies in the Shanghai Stock Exchange." Zhou Hao looked at Qi Jiwen and Qi Jiwen continued, "I have followed your instructions and absorbed the shares of these 7 companies. So far, among these 7 companies, we have at least 25% of the shares, and the highest is 35%. Mr. Zhou, we can build a warehouse now." "They didn't find out, right?" Zhou Hao asked plainly. Qi Jiwen shook his head immediately. "I used a few companies to do this. They didn't find anything." Zhou Hao looked at the information Qi Jiwen gave him. These few companies are considered big. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to borrow so much money from the construction bank and industrial bank. "How is it? The funds I gave you are enough, right?" Enough. Qi Qiwen quickly said, "These 7 companies are not small, but the share prices are not high. We do not need much money to build the warehouse." "That's good." Zhou Hao smiled and said, "You told me before that the reason why you lost so much on Wall Street was because you didn't have the ability to take over the company. You had no choice but to follow the company to invest. Although the financial market in China was different from Wall Street, there was still profit to be gained. This time, I'll let you be the owner to satisfy your wish." Qi Qiwen quickly said, "Thank you, Mr. Zhou, for your appreciation." This time, Zhou Hao gave him $2.5 billion to set up the 7 companies. That was equivalent to more than 20 billion renminbi. Even on Wall Street, he could control a small market. In the chaotic domestic stock market, which was not deep and chaotic, it was enough to cause chaos. Zhou Hao said, "I want the shares of these 7 companies to fall into a liquidation within a month. Can you do it?" In fact, as a top talent who was proficient in financial operations, Qi Qiwen was very clear that banker needed a year or even a few years to make a stock. Before implementing this, he needed to investigate the basic and technical aspects of the shares for a long time before analyzing them. Then, he would make a meticulous plan and finally take action step by step. Zhou Hao wanted to kill these 7 companies within a month, even if they had ample funds. It was also a huge challenge. However, Qi Yuan knew that he was a person who liked challenging difficult tasks, and this could be said to be his only chance. If he could seize this opportunity, he would be able to be put in an important position by Zhou Hao just like Song Jiahao. Not only would he be able to realize his dream and soar in the financial market, he would also be able to earn a large sum of money and enjoy those exciting moments. Therefore, after hesitating for a few seconds, Qi Jiwen confidently said to Zhou Hao, "Mr. Zhou, I will not let you down." Even though he was curious about why Zhou Hao wanted to deal with these 7 companies, he did not ask because he knew that as a subordinate, his most important duty was not to question his boss's orders, but to complete the orders given by his boss. Zhou Hao handed the document back to Qi Jiwen. Then he smiled at him. "Then I will wait for your good news." After Qi Jiwen left the room, Zhou Hao stood up and walked to the French window, looking at the magnificent scenery outside. This was the first time he did not use his memory from his previous life to invest in stocks. Because the 7 companies did not have much of a rise or fall in the stock market in his previous life, Zhou Hao did not know how they were going. But that was not important. The trends of the stock market were actually created by the powerful bankers and speculators. When the funds you control have expanded to a certain extent, you can influence or even operate the stock market. Especially in the domestic stock market, the influence of bankers is extremely huge. Suddenly, a soft and plump body hugged Zhou Hao from behind and stuck his face onto Zhou Hao's broad back. "Xiao Hao, are you really going to deal with the construction and works department?" Zhou Hao had only heard this soft and gentle voice over the phone in the past few months. Now, it floated by his ears and was as beautiful as a celestial melody. Zhou Hao grabbed the pair of jade-like hands that were hugging his chest and softly called out, "Elder sister, why didn't you come and find elder sister for so long? Don't you know elder sister is thinking about you?" Although the voice behind him carried some bitterness, it was still so gentle that it could melt Zhou Hao's entire heart. Zhou Hao grabbed her hand and placed it on his face. He gently rubbed it and let the white jade-like finger cut across his face. "Little pervert, let go of elder sister. It's so itchy." Although she said that, she did not pull her hand back. She allowed Zhou Hao to be impudent and even pampered him. Finally, Zhou Hao turned around and stared at the jade figure in front of him. Her eyebrows were like willow leaves and her eyes were like stars. Her nose was like a jade hook. Her lips were like cherries, and she was a devastatingly beautiful woman. This breathtakingly beautiful woman was shockingly Zhou Haogan's older sister, Zhao Yuqin. Zhou Hao held her waist tightly with both hands, making her stick close to him. His eyes were filled with tenderness. "Sister, you are also in Shanghai?" Zhao Yuqin reached out her hand and pointed at Zhou Hao's nose. "If you wait for me to come and find me, I don't know how long it will take. Why not let me come and find you?" She knocked on her lips. "Humph. Are you afraid that if I come, I will hinder you from getting along with that singer's girlfriend?" A mature Zhao Yuqin, when revealing this slightly jealous appearance, would also reveal a different kind of seductive charm, which made Zhou Hao's heart not move. He lowered his head and whispered into Zhao Yuqin's ear, "Older sister, you came at the right time. Xiao Hao has already earned 10 billion USD. He can fulfill his promise from before." When Zhao Yuqin heard this, her pink face immediately flushed red. She turned her head and said, "What promise? Didn't you allocate 2 billion to the stock market? Then you probably don't have 10 billion left." Zhou Hao immediately refused to accept it. "Sister, you are playing rogue." Zhao Yuqin pushed Zhou Hao. "I am playing rogue. What can you do to me?" Seeing Zhao Yuqin's coquettish manner, Zhou Hao could not hold it in anymore. He lowered his head and held her lips. Zhao Yuqin's charm was astonishing. Even Zhou Hao, who had a close relationship with her, found it hard to resist her charm, let alone other men who had no immunity to her. This time, Zhou Hao did not violate her as arrogantly as before. He only kissed her gently, enjoying the sweetness and the longing in his heart that he had not felt for a long time. After an unknown amount of time, the two reluctantly separated. There was even a crystal-clear liquid between their lips. Zhao Yuqin's jade face turned red and she looked at Zhou Hao with a lustful gaze. "Why are you so honest today?" Zhou Hao could not help but smile when he heard that. "Sister, you're saying this because you hope that I won't be so honest?" As he spoke, his hand had already slipped onto Zhao Yuqin's perky and bouncy butt. Zhao Yuqin twisted her hand, but in the end, she did not slap off Zhou Hao's naughty hand that stuck to her butt. Instead, it was more like a form of teasing. Zhou Hao did not go any further in molesting this beautiful woman with a prominent status and a complete appearance. Instead, he held her in front of his chest and faced the beautiful scenery outside the window together. It was already dusk. The setting sun slowly fell to the horizon, and there was still a red and yellow-colored light in the sky. The anxious Shanghai had already lit up quite a few neon lights. They were reflected on the Huangpu River, interweaving into a dazzling scene. Zhao Yuqin leaned against Zhou Hao's chest and pressed her forehead against Zhou Hao's chin. She could still feel the half-hard root of his chin. "You haven't told me yet. Are you really going to deal with the construction and works department?" Zhao Yuqin asked. "These are two important financial institutions in the country. If we make a move, it will affect the whole body. If it is not done properly, it will cause a lot of trouble." "Sister, you are so smart. You only know that I am going to sell the shares of the 7 companies. You guessed that I am going to deal with the construction bank and industrial bank." Zhou Hao kissed Zhao Yuqin on the forehead and said, "But this time, I am not just trying to get money in the stock market. Sister, I have told you before, right? What I did in Korea." Zhao Yuqin nodded, and then revealed a smile that could turn people upside down. If the Koreans know that you are the one who turned their stock market and stock market upside down, you will have contributed to the collapse of their currency. I think they will come to you for revenge at all costs. Actually, if not for their own economic problems, how could I take advantage of them so easily? Even George Soros and those alligators would be helpless. Zhou Hao smiled and said, as the saying goes, flies don't sow eggs. Just like Thailand, if it wasn't for the fundamental problem with their own economic system, those investors wouldn't have set their eyes on them. This time, the biggest reason why South Korea collapsed so quickly and thoroughly was because their companies were too easy to get loans from the banks. Once these companies are not good at managing and cause the funds to be unable to pay off their debts, it will cause a large amount of bad debts to appear in the banks, thus delaying the flow of funds of the entire country. Zhou Hao sighed slightly and said, in fact, isn't the same for the banks in our country? Especially the state-owned banks. Some people with strong backing or connections can easily loan huge amounts of money from the banks. Even the higher-ups in the banks are becoming more and more corrupt. In the long run, the future of our domestic banks is bleak. This time, I'm going to alarm the central government and teach them a lesson. I'm going to let them reflect on their actions and clean up the accounts of the various state-owned banks. Zhao Yuqin was very smart, so she could naturally figure out what was going on. However, when she saw Zhou Hao's solemn expression, which seemed like he was willing to sacrifice his life for the country, she could not help but laugh. So, this time you are fiddling with the domestic stock market, and it is also a matter that interests the country and the people? You are taking advantage of the situation and pretending to be good. Sigh, sister, you were born in a government official's family, so you naturally understand. People in the government never do anything when they encounter problems. They usually only react when there is a problem. Zhou Hao said, in order to prevent our country from making the same mistake as South Korea in the future, I can only be a bad person once and warn them. Zhou Hao knew that in the future, stock god Buffett would use large amounts of investment to buy up domestic enterprises, creating a positive atmosphere. At the same time, he would make the domestic stock market rise, and at the same time, let the domestic banks approve loans to many enterprises. In the end, Buffett, who had achieved his goal, withdrew his investment. Not only did it cause grief in China's stock market, but it also caused the various banks in the country to suffer huge losses. I know. Apart from these, your final goal is still to deal with Liang Fengshan, right? Zhao Yuqin stared at Zhou Hao with her bright eyes. Zhou Hao did not want to hide it from her, so he nodded and said, that's right. Liang Fengshan is not only a competitor for Sky River, but he also asked Zhou Liren to steal my business secrets. My people have already heard that after getting the recipe for the orange fruit, Liang Fengshan gave Zhou Liren more than 15 million. Zhao Yuqin was the person who knew Zhou Hao the most. There were many things that even Zhou Hao's mother did not know, but she knew very well, so she also knew about Zhou Hao's father. When she saw Zhou Hao's angry and sad eyes, she felt a pain in her heart. She touched Zhou Hao's face with pity and said, do you have any news about him now? Zhou Hao shook his head. The people from the First Army found out that he had left Yangzhou and even Jiangsu, but they couldn't find where he had gone. Humph. The people from the First Army are really useless. He's just an ordinary man, but they still couldn't find him. Actually, so what if they found him? Are you going to kill him? Zhao Yuqin said lovingly, Xiao Hao, no matter how wrong your father is, I don't want you to become the person who killed my father. Zhou Hao's eyes sparkled when he heard Zhao Yuqin's words, but in the end, he still nodded his head slowly. He held Zhao Yuqin's waist with both hands and said with a smile, actually, I have another reason to deal with Liang Fengshan. If he didn't come out to cause trouble this time, sister and I would have gone to Venice to have our honeymoon. I can't let him go. Who wants to have a honeymoon with you? Shameless. Zhao Yuqin said angrily, if you want to go, then let that big star accompany you. I am not going with you. Zhou Hao lowered his head to her ear and stuck out the tip of his tongue to lick her earlobe. It made her body tremble. Sister, are you jealous? Zhao Yuqin pursed her lips and lightly snorted. I am jealous. How about it? Don't think that sister doesn't know that you wrote songs for her and held concerts for her. Sister's matters are not as serious as you think. I've always cared about my sister's matters the most. Zhou Hao smiled and said, besides, in my heart, no one can replace my sister. Sister, don't be angry. All right. Actually, Zhou Hao also knew that Zhao Yuqin was not really angry with him. She was just acting like a spoiled child. All right. Sister, you should stop being angry. Hurry up and stretch your hand out, little pervert. Zhao Yuqin said with a smile and pulled out the bad hand that Zhou Hao had used to hide in her clothes. Okay, I still need to talk to Gu Zhongdao. I will cooperate with you this time. Humph. Humph. For the sake of a little enemy like you, big sister hasn't taken a leave for the past few months. Zhou Hao kissed Zhao Yuqin's fair neck. I know elder sister treats me well. I will use my entire life to repay elder sister. What Zhao Yuqin could not resist the most was Zhou Hao's sweet words. She thought about how she usually treated her subordinates with respect, but once she faced Zhou Hao's sweet words, she would immediately raise her hand and surrender. She would follow whatever he said. After Zhao Yuqin left, Zhou Hao also came out of the hotel. He did not drive the car, nor did he let Zhang Daniu, who had been following him for the past few days, accompany him. He strolled around Shanghai alone under the cover of the night. Ever since he was reborn, and even after he returned to Shanghai, Zhou Hao hadn't been able to stroll around properly. Regarding this metropolis, Zhou Hao had left too many memories, and it was even more vivid than when he was in Xiang City. Although it was already late at night, the streets of Shanghai were even more bustling and bustling. Walking among the crowd, Zhou Hao had a very special feeling of loneliness. Perhaps there were many people who envied Zhou Hao. He had endless money in his hands, and he always had a beautiful woman by his side. However, only Zhou Hao knew his loneliness. Every man had his own loneliness, a secret that he did not want to share with anyone. To the current Zhou Hao, the deepest secret in his heart was the fact that he had been reborn. Even Zhao Yuqin, who understood him the most, had never told him about it. He had never told her about it in the past, but now and in the future. At this moment, Zhou Hao felt a blue light enveloping him from the other side. He turned his head and saw a neon sign emitting a blue light. On the sign, there were two English words written on the blue lamp. Dirk Brew, translated into Mandarin, Deep Blue. This was a bar. Without realizing it, Zhou Hao walked to the bar called Deep Blue. Zhou Hao was stunned and then laughed at himself. He muttered to himself, I didn't think that I would unknowingly come here. Could it be that my subconscious still remembers this place? In reality, this bar called Deep Blue was the place where Zhou Hao worked when he was studying at Fudan University in his previous life. At that time, he was a nameless handyman in this bar. Thinking back to that year, even though Zhou Hao was admitted to Fudan University, his family could not provide the tuition fees. It was Zhou Hao who relied on his outstanding results to apply for a scholarship that reduced the burden on his family. Zhou Hao had never asked Yen Tong for living expenses. Besides studying hard, he also used the time he squeezed out to work and raise his living expenses. When he was at his most powerful, Zhou Hao had worked 3 times at the same time. He had also tried working as a water delivery man, a waiter, and a construction worker. The longest job Zhou Hao had ever done was to work as a handyman in Deep Blue Bar. He was called a handyman. In fact, it would not be harder than working as a waiter. He would only help unload the goods, collect bottles of wine, or deliver food to the kitchen. At that time, Zhou Hao worked here from 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning every night. The salary given to Zhou Hao by Deep Blue Bar was 1,200 yuan per month. Although in a big city like Shanghai, 1,200 yuan was not a high salary. It was even difficult to maintain a normal life. However, Zhou Hao usually lived in the school dormitory. His food and clothing were simple, and he did not have any bad hobbies such as smoking and drinking. Therefore, 1,200 yuan was enough to maintain Zhou Hao's daily life. Occasionally, he could send 300 to 400 yuan to Yen Tong. Apart from the fact that this was Zhou Hao's longest job in university, it was also because the owner of this bar was a very good person. The owner of Deep Blue Bar was a Brazilian called Caro. Apart from his mother tongue, he could also speak fluent English and Mandarin. Zhou Hao remembered that when he worked in the bar, Ka Luo had lived in Shanghai for more than 10 years. He knew Shanghai better than the locals. At that time, Ka Luo took good care of Zhou Hao. He often let Zhou Hao eat in the bar, which saved Zhou Hao a lot of food expenses. One time, when Zhou Hao had a fever, Caro drove him to the hospital. I wonder if Caro is inside? Zhou Hao laughed in a low voice. Looking at the familiar blue neon sign, Zhou Hao did not think much and walked in. This bar was different from other bars. There were no messy colorful lights and no loud music. The lights here were very gentle, but there was no dim and depressing atmosphere. There was a pleasant black and blue song flowing in the air. The young men and women each had their own corner. They drank leisurely and chatted quietly, looking at the comfortable rattan chairs and coffee tables in the bar, as well as the beautiful landscape paintings on the wall. The memories of his past life flooded into Zhou Hao's mind. He said to himself with a smile, "It's still the same. It's really nostalgic." As the atmosphere in Deep Blue Bar was relaxed and comfortable, it was very suitable for entertainment, so it attracted many white-collar workers in the city. Deep Blue Bar also became a very famous place for leisure in this area. Zhou looked over at the bar and saw a tall South American man skillfully spinning the bartender. Sometimes he tossed it high, and sometimes he spun it. He looked very cool. There were two office girls sitting in front of the bar. They were obviously office girls who had just gotten off work. When they saw the handsome actions of the South American man, they exclaimed and praised him. Zhou recognized the South American man with a glance. That was Caro, but he was much younger than he remembered. He smiled and walked over to sit on a tall chair in front of the bar. Caro saw Zhou coming and kept moving his hands. He smiled at Zhou in fluent Mandarin and said, "Welcome. What would you like to drink?" "Give me a deep blue beauty." Zhou smiled and said. Kaluo smiled and continued mixing the wine in his hand. Very quickly, he brought out 3 cups of deep blue wine that were emitting a deep blue glow. He pushed 2 of the glasses in front of the 2 office ladies. He said with a smile, "2 beautiful ladies. Take these 2 deep blue beauties as my compliments to the 2 of you." As a matter of fact, Caro was neither handsome nor ugly, but he always had an intimate feeling about him. In addition, he was humorous and mature, so when Zhou worked here in his previous life, he knew that many women liked Caro. Among them, there were many beautiful women with good looks and wealthy women. It was just that Caro was a typical lascivious man. He would never reject women, but he would never stay by any woman's side. Sure enough, with just a few words from Caro, the 2 young and beautiful office ladies were amused. They laughed and looked at him charmingly. "All right, 2 beautiful ladies. There's still a new customer over there. I'll go and chat with him." As he spoke, Caro picked up the deep blue beauty that Zhou had ordered and went to the opposite side of Zhou. "Customer, this is the deep blue beauty that you wanted. Thank you." Zhou picked up the deep blue beauty made of blueberries, champagne, and tequila and took a sip. He felt the fragrance on his teeth and cheeks. The unique fragrance of the wine drove the sour and sweet taste of the blueberries into his throat. Luckily, it's still there, Zhou thought. In his previous life, Caro often treated him to the signature wine of Deep Blue Bar. "Customer, this is your first time here, right?" Caro revealed a warm smile to Zhou. Zhou nodded slightly. "That's right. I heard a friend introduce the Deep Blue Beauty here, so I came here to take a look. She really lives up to her reputation. Since this is the first time you have visited our Deep Blue Bar, then this Deep Blue Beauty will treat you to a drink for free." Caro smiled. "My name is Caro. I'm from Brazil. My name is Zhou." Zhou remembered that when he applied for the job, Caro asked him if he could drink. He said he would, so Caro said, "You're hired." He also started his career at Deep Blue Bar. Caro used a towel to wipe the bar in front of him and smiled at Zhou. "Zhou, you look very young. Are you a student?"
Yes.
Zhou also smiled. He said, "You don't have to be 18 years old or above to be able to drink here, do you? Even in the United States, there are still a lot of people who are under 18 years old drinking. As I said, wine is the greatest invention of mankind. With it, humans can be considered to have true happiness. Do you know who I admire the most? It's Li Bai. He's as cool as an immortal in wine, renowned throughout the ages. It's a crime in America to prohibit drinking under the age of 18. Zhou also knew that Kaluo's preference for wine was something that no one he had ever seen could compare to. Furthermore, Kaluo's understanding of all kinds of wine in the world could also be said to be at the master level. However, he was still the kind of person who would not get drunk after 1,000 cups. Once, there was a time when all the customers in the bar took turns to drink with him. In the end, all the customers were drunk, but Kaluo could still calmly tease and play with the female customers. Zhou, who knew Kaluo's temperament, also began to talk about the culture of wine with him. They talked about China's Maudai-Laufen, French champagne, Swedish vodka, whiskey in Scotland, and Greek aniseed wine. Seeing that Zhou was so familiar with wine culture, Caro was excited inside when he met his best friend. In the end, he even took out a bottle of top-grade vodka that he had kept for a long time to drink with Zhou. He did not know that Zhou's knowledge of wine was all taught by him. However, that was in his previous life. At this moment, a beauty wearing a tight black dress gracefully walked to Zhou's side. Her eyelashes fluttered as she looked at Zhou. Then, her red lips parted slightly and a sweet and seductive voice drifted out. "Sir, can you treat me to a drink?" Zhou was slightly stunned. This woman was tall and slender. Her oval-shaped face had delicate facial features, a pair of ample breasts on her chest, and a pair of long and snow-white thighs. She was seductive, causing the man to be unable to help but feel a burning heart when he saw her. It was undeniable that this girl was very beautiful, especially her charm. And her words, "Can you treat me to a drink?" was actually a hint, just like some industry terms. Those who were used to nightlife knew that the meaning of this sentence was, "Can you accompany me tonight?" Zhou Hao had worked at Deep Blue Bar in his past life, so he naturally knew this hint. In fact, he wanted to have a one-night stand with the opposite sex. Looking at this beautiful and charming woman, Zhou Hao smiled bitterly. "Miss, you should look for someone else. My money is only enough for my own portion of wine." The woman's expression changed slightly, and she said, "Then, why don't I buy you a drink?" It turned out that this woman had been paying attention to Zhou Hao for a long time. She saw that Zhou Hao was handsome and tall, and that he had an extraordinary temperament when talking and laughing with Kaluo, so she came over to chat with Zhou Hao. Opposite him, Kaluo looked at Zhou Hao with a very ambiguous expression. That meant that he had already taken the initiative to treat you to a drink, so why didn't you quickly agree? However, he heard Zhou Hao say something that Kaluo heard. He also broke out in a cold sweat. "I'm sorry. My mom said that you can't eat and drink things from strangers. So, I can only say sorry." When this beautiful woman who had been searching for a night's worth of affection finally couldn't hold back her embarrassment and anger and left with a flick of her sleeves, Karo finally hugged his stomach and laughed loudly. He patted Zhou Hao's shoulder and said, "Brother, I really admire you. How could you ruthlessly refuse such a beautiful woman? According to me, it's a waste not to eat. In any case, I don't need you to take any responsibility." Zhou Hao shook his head. "I don't like one-night stands." Indeed, when Zhou Hao was working here in his previous life, he had seen countless men and women who were passionate about one-night stands. They were like magnets that could be attracted to each other from afar. However, even if he had seen too many or even become numb to it, Zhou Hao was very resistant to one-night stands. Although many men liked one-night stands, Zhou Hao felt that it was a very irresponsible behavior towards him. At the same time, Zhou Hao had never admitted that he was a good man, but he also knew that he had to be responsible for his actions, and one-night stands went against his principles. As the domestic economy grew more and more open, some Western ideas also quickly surged into China. In many of the major cities in China, one-night stands had become more and more common. Zhou Hao also knew that this kind of situation would become more common in the future. Zhou Hao admitted that he was a conservative person. He could not accept that his woman had a one-night stand with someone else, and he would not try. At this time, Karo gave Zhou Hao another, deep blue beauty. He smiled and said to him, "Zhou Hao, you are not the kind of man who has a virgin complex, are you?" Zhou Hao did not answer directly. Instead, he asked back, "Oh? In that case, you seem to despise people with a virgin complex." Kaluo shrugged his shoulders. "It's not that I'm disdainful. It's just that I don't value this part." Actually, regardless of those who claim that they don't have virgins, every man, and even women themselves have virgins. Zhou Hao drank a mouthful of deep blue beauty, causing the sweet and sour taste to stimulate his throat. After research, all the races and tribes on Earth have love stories. The main characters of love stories were mostly virgins. Let's put it this way, those who cling to their beliefs in love all have virgin relationships. Karo supported his chin and quietly listened to Zhou Hao's words. Zhou Hao said, "Many people think that foreigner does not have virgins because the concept of sexual open-mindedness starts from a foreign country. However, some scientific institutions did a research, and the results showed that whether it was in Arab countries, America, or other places, the percentage of males with a virgin complex is roughly the same, around 60%. In foreign countries, virgin complex would not be attacked at all. In fact, according to their tradition, only virgins can wear pure white wedding dresses, and there's no such thing as a virgin taking the initiative to wear them." At this time, Zhou Hao noticed two office ladies looking at him with disdain. He naturally knew that the two office ladies were the opposition of virgins, but he did not care and continued, "In our country, society is in a period of technological development. At this time, the problem of virgins will become very controversial." Whether it was intentional or not, although Zhou Hao's voice was not loud, he could clearly transmit the message to every corner of the bar. The men and women who were drinking and chatting unconsciously calmed down and listened to Zhou Hao. "Many women, this is referring to unmarried, non-virgins," Zhou Hao said. "They accuse virgins of being immoral. They are the remnants of feudal society, and they accuse virgins of being impotent, not confident, and so on and so forth. These are actually related to the benefits brought by marriage. Usually, women in China rely more on men than women in the West. They have to rely on their own bodies to obtain the protection of their lives. This kind of attack becomes an important method to obtain benefits, especially when she is no longer a virgin." Zhou Hao said, "In fact, many times, men are more jealous and possessive than women. They not only want the other half of the present and the future, but also want the other half of their past to be pure and flawless. At this point, one of the office ladies could not help but refute, "You men want others to be virgins. What about you men? Can you guarantee that you'll be virgins before you get married? If you can't do it, then please don't make so many requests here." When she said this, many women in the bar were filled with righteous indignation. They looked at Zhou Hao as if they shared a common enemy. Facing the hostility of these women, Zhou Hao did not get angry, nor did he shrink back. Instead, he smiled calmly and said, "Actually, this is a problem of social values. Although women's status in society is getting higher and higher now, it is undeniable that for a long period of time in the future, this world will still be a male society. Therefore, society is more tolerant of men than women. For example, when a man is having an affair, most people will only think that he is a romantic, and when a woman is having an affair, she will often be labeled as an aphrodisiac. Also, perhaps a woman would marry a man who had been very bad in the past and was now a prodigal, but very few men would choose a man who was very bad in the past. But now he's a very good woman." Seeing that the office lady was about to speak again, Zhou Hao spoke first. "Actually, arguing about this issue is meaningless, because everyone has a different view of choosing a partner. However, what I want to say is, since men nowadays don't have the right to ask a woman to be a virgin, then what right does a woman have to ask a man to provide a house and a car when they get married?" Okay. The men in the bar all applauded Zhou Hao's words. In those fierce arguments in his previous life, Zhou Hao hated those women who claimed that virgin relationships were unfair, but demanded men to have a room and a car. In their eyes, it was only right and proper for a man to have a wife, but they did not want to know why a man had to give up without any complaints. The two office ladies who were arguing with Zhou Hao had no way to refute. They got up and left in anger. When they passed by Zhou Hao, they even fiercely snorted. However, Zhou Hao did not care at all. He even raised his glass to the men around him. Those men also responded and raised their glasses to drink to Zhou Hao. Karo smiled at Zhou Hao and said, "Although I am not a supporter of any side, what you said is reasonable and reasonable. I have to admire you too." "Haha, I was just expressing my feelings." Zhou Hao smiled gently. The most annoying thing is that they keep asking for fairness, but in this world, there are too many things that are unfair. Why is it so lively? Is there anything to be happy about? At this time, a familiar voice came from behind. Zhou Hao turned his head in shock because he recognized the voice, but he didn't expect the owner of the voice to come to such a place. He saw that the person was tall and had an ordinary appearance. There wasn't anything outstanding about him, but after a closer inspection, he felt that there was a kind of tranquil and calm temperament on his body. He was the kind of person who would remain calm even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him. This man was the big boss of First Army, Mr. Han Mei. "Wu Feng, what brings you here?" When Karo saw Big Boss, he revealed a look of excitement and joy. That was the emotion that could only be expressed when he met a true friend. Zhou Hao, who was standing beside him, was even more surprised, because Kaluo clearly knew the Big Boss. Furthermore, Kaluo called Big Boss Edgeless, which could also be the real name of the Big Boss. "Little friend Zhou, long time no see." Big Boss didn't stand on ceremony and sat down on the chair next to Zhou Hao. At this time, Kaluo had already prepared a glass of red wine for Big Boss. Even though Zhou Hao had worked here for a long time in his previous life, he had never seen Kaluo make this kind of wine. He heard Karo smile at Big Boss and say, "Here, your favorite drink is Bloody Tide?" "Thank you." Big Boss pursed his lips and took a sip. "Wu Feng, you know Zhou Hao too?" Kaluo asked again. Big Boss nodded. "Yes, not an enemy." "Big Boss, why are you here too?" Zhou Hao asked curiously. Big Boss smiled. "Can I come here?" Zhou Hao also felt that this question was a little unexpected, but even in his previous life, Zhou Hao had never seen Big Boss come to Deep Blue Bar, and did not know that he and Kaluo were friends. This Big Boss was the commander of the First Army. It seemed that Kaluo was definitely not an ordinary person. When Karo saw Zhou Hao's gaze, he immediately smiled and said, Hey, I'm just a bar owner. Don't look at me like that." Of course, Zhou Hao knew what Karo said was not the truth. If he was just an ordinary bar owner, how could he know someone like Big Boss? Moreover, he seemed to know the real name of the Big Boss. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. In his previous life, he had spent so much time with Karo, but he didn't notice anything unusual about Karo. But thinking about it, it made sense. Who was he in his previous life? He was just a poor student who had nothing to do with anything. Wasn't it easy for Karo to hide it from him? Furthermore, There was no need for Karo to confess anything to him. At this moment, Big Boss spoke. You guys seem to have a good chat just now. What did you talk about? Zhou smiled. It's nothing. We were just talking about a couple of things. Karo also told what Zhou had said to Big Boss. He saw Big Boss applauding and smiling. Interesting, interesting. It seems like little friend Zhou has a lot of experience in matters between men and women. I dare not accept it. Zhou smiled and said, I am just a lost sheep on the road of love. Big Boss and Kaluo could not help smiling when they heard Zhou's funny words. By the way, Big Boss, do you have any news about the man I asked you to help me find last time? Zhou asked. Big Boss's expression changed, then he said apologetically, Little friend Zhou, it's really shameful to talk about this matter. You've helped us so much previously, and we are only helping you find a person, so we should do our best. However, this is also strange. The man you asked us to find is clearly just an ordinary person, but with our strength, we still haven't been able to find his whereabouts. Zhou believed the words of the Big Boss because there was no need for him to lie to him. Firstly, just like what Big Boss had said, Zhou Liren was just an ordinary man and had nothing to do with the First Army. There was no way the First Army would protect him and offend him. Secondly, Zhou also believed that Big Boss was a man of his word and that the promise he made would be fulfilled. Little friend Zhou, actually, I think you should be mentally prepared, Big Boss said. I think there are two possibilities that we can't find that man with our abilities. The first possibility is that someone or some organization hit him. The second possibility is that he is already dead. Zhou lowered his head and thought about it. Regarding the two possibilities that Big Boss had mentioned, he was more inclined to the latter, because no organization that could fight against the First Army would help Zhou Liren in such a way. At the same time, he was guessing whether Liang Fengshan had killed Zhou Liren to cover up the evidence after ordering Zhou Liren to steal the formula of the orange fruit. But don't worry, little friend Zhou. You said that you wanted to see a dead man's corpse. Even if this man is dead, we will find his corpse. Big Boss said. Zhou nodded. Thank you, Big Boss. After that, the two of them chatted with each other under the company of the wine, but because the identity of the Big Boss and the mission had to be kept secret, the two of them talked more about Zhou. Big Boss was not very interested in Zhou establishing a business with a net worth of 1 billion yuan under the age of 20. Instead, Zhou's martial arts skills were not weaker than his and Tai Luo Fengma's, which made him very surprised. Of course, Zhou would not tell him about the amber fruit. He would tell him that he had a fortuitous encounter and that it was a coincidence that allowed him to have his current martial arts achievements. Big Boss, what about you? Zhou asked him. I see that Xiahou Bufu from the Dongluo sect is over 100 years old, but his cultivation in martial arts is still much weaker than yours. Besides, I think you are only in your 30s. Have you had a fortuitous encounter before? I am just an ordinary person. How could I have such a fortuitous encounter? Big Boss smiled and said, It's just that I am more hardworking than ordinary people. What the Big Boss said shocked Zhou. He knew that luck played a big part in his ability to have today's ability. Big Boss could reach the ultimate realm of this martial art when he was less than 40 years old. This could be described as a heaven-warping talent. The Big Boss's words shocked Zhou. He knew that luck played a big part in his ability to have today's ability. And Big Boss could reach the ultimate realm of this martial art when he was less than 40 years old. This could be described as heaven-warping talent. Zhou knew that he was not as good as Big Boss in terms of martial arts cultivation, so he asked him about the way of martial arts. Big Boss did not hide anything from him. He used his understanding of martial arts to answer Zhou's questions, which made Zhou learn a lot. By the way, that little Taro, Big Boss, that time you were there, you were the one who asked me that question. Did you meet him again after that? No. Big Boss drank a mouthful of wine. Their Wind Devil clan is as mysterious as us. That time, he was the one who took the initiative to come and intercept us. Zhou sighed as he recalled his fight with the young man. The young man is also very powerful. He is even stronger than Xiahou Bufu. Big Boss nodded. Originally, the so-called ninjutsu of Japan was secretly learned from the Tang sect during the Tang dynasty. Many of the Tang envoys that came from Japan were the ancestors of Wind Devil clans, so their Wind Devil clans were also considered the source of the origin of the ninja of Japan. Although the Japanese ninjutsu was passed down from the Tang sect, after so many years, they have formed their own faction. Big Boss continued, in the early years, the Wind Devil clan was the only clan of ninja in Japan. But later on, the Wind Devil clan had two elders with profound cultivation who betrayed the Wind Devil clan and established their own faction. That was the sect of Ahi and the sect of Ihi, ninja. Different from Jia He and Yi He, who had participated in the feudal wars during the Warring States period in Japan, ninjas rarely participated in wars. They had always been independent. In this aspect, their style was very similar to the Tang sect. For hundreds of years, both of them recognized the orthodox nature of Wind Devil clans and tried their best to avoid conflict with Wind Devil clans. When he said this, Big Boss suddenly smiled. Humph, humph, humph. Rather than saying that they avoid conflict with the Wind Devil clan, it would be better to say that they do not dare. Although Ahe and He had obtained the help of some large financial groups and had a huge increase in their financial resources, their strength couldn't be compared to the Wind Devil clan. Ahe and He's sect masters' martial arts are at most slightly higher than the former Ghost Queen and Ghost Queen. However, they are much weaker than Feng Mo's Taro. At this moment, Zhou Hao said, previously, I heard Li Shuihan say that the Feng Mo Taro is actually the name of the tribe leader of the Wind Devil clan. Only the tribe leader can inherit this name. Big Boss nodded. That's right, it is indeed so. Every generation, the Wind Devil clan would pick more than 10 children with extraordinary talent and train them since they were young. After that, when they were 13 years old, they would be placed in a forest in a designated area. In the end, the child who was able to kill the others and walk out of the forest would become the patriarch of the Wind Devil clan. After that, the former Ghost Queen and the 9 Wind Devil clans of the Wind Devil clan would undergo a second training session for the patriarch. They would also allow him to practice the ultimate technique of the Wind Devil clan, the Maha Leaf Scripture, which only the patriarch could practice. The Maha Leaf Sutra? Zhou Hao frowned. Big Boss explained, it's an ancient secret heart sutra. Later, it was modified and perfected by many generations of clan leaders of Wind Devil clans. The Maha Leaf Sutra is a very profound martial art. Furthermore, the Wind Fiend Taro also has the most profound ninjutsu of Wind Devil clans, so it's very difficult to deal with. He looked at Zhou Hao. But last time I saw you didn't seem to be afraid of Taro's ninjutsu. Zhou Hao shrugged. He naturally wouldn't say that he was relying on his intuition to predict Taro's ninjutsu. He also didn't want to reveal his trump card to Big Boss, so he said, I was just lucky that time. Maybe I won't be so lucky next time. Big Boss knew that Zhou Hao didn't want to tell him the secret, so he didn't ask further. After all, it involved other people's privacy. Oh right. That time, little Taro said there were 2 people he feared the most in China. One of them was you, and the other was the sect master of Tang sect, Li Tsongyun. Zhou Hao said, Big Boss, is Li Tsongyun's martial arts very high? Higher than you? In our China's martial arts world, other than some ancient sects with a long history, very few people know about the existence of the Tang sect, so there are even fewer people who know about Li Tsongyun, Big Boss said. However, everyone who knows about Li Tsongyun knows that his strength is unfathomable. Hearing what Big Boss said, Zhou Hao couldn't help but become curious. He asked, have you fought with him before? Big Boss did not answer immediately. Instead, he shouted to Karo, who was pretending to chat with other customers and dropping on their conversation. Karo, another cup of bloody tide? Oh, okay. Kaluo nonchalantly made another cup of wine for Big Boss and took the opportunity to say to him and Zhou Hao, Sai, I also want to have a good time in the martial arts world in China. Unfortunately, I don't know martial arts. Woofing, are you willing to teach me? Big Boss smiled and said, the most important thing in the path of martial arts is to focus on it. If you can't calm your heart down, it will be difficult for you to achieve anything even if I teach you. Besides, you also have the ability to protect yourself, so you don't have to waste your time. Zhou Hao deeply agreed with what the Big Boss said. In modern society, guns were flying everywhere. If you did not train your martial arts to a high level, it would be useless. One bullet could take your life. Therefore, for someone like Kaluo who could not achieve anything in martial arts, it was better for him to practice his spear skills. Otherwise, he would be throwing away his roots and seeking the end. Zhou Hao, on the other hand, was curious about Kaluo's ability to protect himself. Kaluo was bored. He spread his hands and walked away to tease the female guest. He did not eavesdrop on Zhou Hao and Big Boss anymore. Big Boss drank half a cup of bloody tide and continued, I did fight with Li Tsongyun before. Zhou Hao immediately became excited. He really wanted to hear about the battle between Big Boss and Li Tsongyun, the 2 supreme expert. After all, although his martial arts was at the same level as theirs, or even higher, it was still better than theirs. However, Zhou Hao's experience could not compare to theirs at all, especially when he had never experienced the fascinating martial arts world. Therefore, in front of Big Boss, Zhou Hao could only be a junior. Li Tsongyun is a descendant of the orthodox royal family of the Tang dynasty. He cultivates the ultimate technique of the Li family, the Flaming Fire Divine Ice technique. Big Boss introduced the technique to Zhou Hao. The Fire and Ice Divine Art was passed down to Li Shiming by a reclusive master. Later, it became the ultimate technique of the Li family. However, since the Li family became the king's family, its disciples had been indulging in pleasure. How could they still have the mood to practice martial arts? Needless to say, Li Shiming had been restored to his former glory, until the country was destroyed and his family was destroyed. Only with the help of the Tang sect did the descendants of Li family start cultivating the Flaming Ice Divine technique. Zhou Hao said bluntly, "Big Boss, from the name of this Flaming Ice Divine technique, it seems to be a martial art that complements yin and yang." Big Boss smiled. "That's right. This kind of martial art is cultivated by combining yin and yang. It is used to achieve a balance between yin and yang in the body. Moreover, the Flaming Ice Divine technique can simultaneously condense the yin and yang energies to the extreme, producing genuine auras of extreme yin, extreme cold, and extreme yang energy. The Flaming Ice Palm unleashed by the Flaming Ice Divine technique, genuine aura, was more powerful than Shaolin's Flaming Wood Divine Palm. It's even more powerful than the profound Netherfrost Jade technique of Tian Shan Mountain." Upon hearing this, Zhou Hao sucked in a breath of cold air. It wasn't because he knew how powerful the Flaming Wood Divine Palm and the profound Netherfrost Jade technique were. It was because he knew that it was extremely difficult to cultivate the yin and yang qi in his body at the same time. It was even more difficult for him to condense the yin and yang qi to the extreme to stimulate the palm force to hurt someone. Because he had previously consumed the amber fruit, which was the purest yang energy, it had become the pure yang body that martial artists dreamt of. However, although the pure yang body had great benefits for cultivating inner force, it could achieve twice the result with half the effort. However, the pure yang body had both advantages and disadvantages. To put it bluntly, the pure yang body was equivalent to the body of a child, and it could not be affected by the yin qi of a woman. Otherwise, it could easily cause one to go berserk, or even cause one's cultivation to be destroyed. Therefore, the pure yang body could not touch a woman for the rest of its life. As the saying went, the solitary yin did not grow, but only the yang did not grow. The amber fruit was not only an object of pure yang, but also the strongest natural medicine in the world. Therefore, after Zhou Hao was tricked by Dr. Gongsun and consumed the amber fruit, he immediately took over Li Ruolin's body and absorbed the virgin vital yin from her body. Zhou Hao's pure yang body had absorbed Li Ruolin's virgin yin energy. Originally, he was in danger of going berserk or even life-threatening, but he had already cultivated the Qi Nourishment Records under Dr. Gongsuan's guidance. The Qi Nourishment Records was created by Hua Tuhua by combining his medical skills and Taoist martial arts. It was a technique that emphasized the nurturing of yin and yang together. Therefore, it automatically harmonized the yin and yang energies in Zhou Hao's body. However, the yang energy in Zhou Hao's body was far stronger than the yin energy, which caused him to often have sex with a woman to absorb the yin energy in her body to balance the yin and yang energies in his body. Therefore, if Zhou Hao did not do the thing between a man and a woman for a period of time, he would feel uncomfortable all over his body. This was not because he was born lecherous, but because the yin and yang energies in his body were out of control. Because of the miraculous effects of the amber fruit and Qi Nourishment Records, Zhou Hao's constitution had reached the state of balance between yin and yang, just like the innate true Qi. It was also because of this that Zhou Hao knew how difficult it was to cultivate both yin and yang energies at the same time. So there is actually a huge risk when cultivating the Flaming Leaving Ice Divine technique, especially when the higher the realm, the more dangerous it is. If you are not careful, you will lose all your cultivation, and if you are serious, you will die on the spot. Big Boss said, even if there are so many generations of people in Li family, it is very rare for them to cultivate the Flaming Ice Divine technique to the maximum level. Li Tsongyun is a rare genius of the Li family, and he has already mastered the Flaming Divine Ice technique. Zhou Hao listened quietly. He really wanted to know who was stronger between Big Boss and Li Tsongyun. Big Boss continued, "Back then, we happened to meet at Wudong Mountain. Both of us were obsessed with martial arts, so we immediately started fighting. Of course, we have nothing that we can't resolve. That's why we were just exchanging pointers." His eyes narrowed slightly, as if he was recalling the time when he sparred with Li Tsongyun. Zhou Hao also knew that Big Boss and that Li Tsongyun were both rare encounters, supreme expert. The fight between experts must be very exciting, which made him feel very excited. Although we have made an agreement beforehand, since our martial arts skills are on par with each other, we are gradually unable to restrain ourselves. In the end, He used the blazing ice palm, and I also used the plum seeker snow sword. Witnessing the situation at that time, Zhou Hao asked nervously, "What happened in the end? Did you win, or did he win?" Big Boss drank another mouthful of wine. "In the end, I was lucky enough to win in half a move, and a few of my meridians were injured by his ice fire palm. It took a few years for me to recover." Zhou Hao let out a long sigh. He knew the strength of the chief, but with Big Boss's full strength, he could only win in half a move. It could be seen how powerful Li Songyun's martial arts was. "Big Boss, since you won, you are also injured," Li Songyun said. "That's right. He has also injured a few meridians, but he shouldn't have any major injuries. He should be able to recover after recuperating for a few years." Zhou Hao didn't know if it was an illusion or not, but he felt that although Big Boss's expression was calm, there seemed to be a faint wave of guilt. Big Boss suddenly turned his head and smiled at Zhou Hao. "I heard that you injured the second elder of Tang sect?" Zhou Hao knew that he was talking about Ninja, who had sneaked into Zhao Dingzhou's military base to steal the Wind Devil clan, while Zhou Hao was hiding behind them. He followed the people of Tang's sect to one of their hiding spots and fought with the second elder, who knew the great soul-searching technique. In the end, the second elder was no match for Zhou Hao, but he also escaped from Zhou Hao's hands. Originally, the people of Tang's sect were the kind of people who would seek revenge, Big Boss said, but perhaps they know about the relationship between you and the Zhao family. They were afraid that seeking revenge on you would cause the Zhao family to take revenge on you. In the end, they would get involved in a political struggle and violate the rules of their ancestors. That's why they didn't come to find you. Zhou Hao laughed indifferently. "It doesn't matter even if they came to find me. I also want to see that Li Songyun's flaming leaving ice divine art." Young people are always brave and fierce. Big Boss shook his head and smiled bitterly, like an elder teaching Zhou Hao a lesson. He also seemed to be thinking about how he was once young and frivolous. Zhou Hao did not deny it and asked again, "Where's Li Shuihan? Why didn't she come with you?" "She went on another mission." Big Boss smiled and said, "What? You want to see her? Don't tell me you like her?" Zhou Hao remembered Li Shuihan's cold face and immediately shook his head. "Of course not. Although that girl is pretty and not bad, she is too cold. I do not want to be with a woman with cold sex." "A cold personality?" Big Boss was stunned for a moment, then he laughed out loud. "If she knew you said that to her, she would definitely fight you to the death. Hee hee, although she is almost 20 years old, her temperament is still like a child's. Just like you are very competitive and also very willful." Zhou Hao secretly clicked his tongue, thinking to himself, Li Shuihan's temperament is still that of a child? How can there be a child who can make his subordinates castrate others without even blinking? How can a child easily break other people's hands and feet? In Yangzhou, Liang Fengshan was in his villa. At this moment, he was lying on a soft bed with only a white towel around his waist. A girl in a bikini swimsuit was standing by the bed, carefully massaging his back. Liang Fengshan's eyes were closed as if he had fallen asleep. However, his hands were not obedient at all. When he grabbed the girl's butt, he rubbed it gently and heavily. The girl did not dare to resist and just quietly stood there, allowing Liang Fengshan to take advantage of her. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Liang Fengshan said lazily, "Come in." Jukin Sutaka walked in. When he saw Liang Fengshan enjoying himself, the expression on his face didn't change. He said calmly, "Young Master Liang, did you find out the purchasing price of Coca-Cola and Coke?" Liang Fengshan didn't open his eyes. Jukin Sutaka nodded and said, "Yes, I have heard about it. The price set by Coca-Cola was 7.3 billion renminbi, while the price set by Pepsi was 7.4 billion renminbi. Oh, didn't you say that the market value of Tianhe was at least 8 billion renminbi? Why is the price of Coca-Cola so low?" Liang Fengshan asked. Coca-Cola and Pepsi are not willing to suffer losses, and they saw the weakness of Zhou Hao's urgent need for funds, so they took the opportunity to lower the price. However, this is only the initial price they set. Maybe they will change it when the time comes. Liang Fengshan asked again, "Does Zhou Hao know the price of Coca-Cola and Pepsi?" "I don't think so." Jukin Sutaku answered honestly. Liang Fengshan let out 2 cold laughs. "Then you should think of a way to make him accidentally fall into your trap. Know this price. After that, I'll use a price slightly higher than theirs to buy the Heavenly River. How about this? We'll prepare 8 billion. But young Master Liang, if Zhou Hao wants us to buy the Heavenly River, I'm afraid he won't agree." Jukin Sutaka's meaning was obvious. There was a deep grudge between Zhou Hao and Liang Fengshan. Therefore, although Zhou Hao was in urgent need of funds, he wouldn't give Liang Fengshan the chance to humiliate him. Liang Fengshan pondered for a moment and said, "You're right. What do you have in mind?" He knew that Jukin Sitaku must have thought of a plan. "Sure enough," Jukin Sitaka said, "since he doesn't want us to buy it, then don't let him know. We can register a new company and use that company to buy Tianhe. As long as our purchasing price is higher than Coca-Cola and Coke, I believe Zhouhao won't go against money." "Okay, let's do it," Liang Fengshan immediately decided. "But young Master Liang, you said you want to prepare 8 billion. Jukin Sitaku raised his concern. "We already owe the bank over 3 billion. If we owe 8 billion more, the company's debt will. Furthermore, the bank only lent us the loan because of Governor Liang." "Enough." Liang Fengshan suddenly waved his hand, because what Jukin Sitaka meant was, if it wasn't for Liang Zhoutang, the governor's father, the bank wouldn't have lent him the money at all. In other words, if he, Liang Fengshan, didn't have Liang Zhoutang's backing, he would only be a useless man. Even though Liang Fengshan was a true hedonistic son, how could he admit that he was ignorant and incompetent, let alone being picked out by Jukin Sitaku? If it wasn't for the fact that Jukin Sitaku was still useful to him, and he still needed Jukin Sitaku to help him manage the Fengshan group, he would have asked his men to kill Jukin Sitaka long ago. "Jukin Sitaku, just do what I told you to do. You shouldn't interfere in other matters. Don't meddle in my business," Liang Fengshan said angrily to Jukin Sitaku. "Now get the hell out of here. I want you to settle the matter of purchasing the Heavenly River for me within a month. Otherwise, I will send you back to prison. Do you know that?" For Liang Xiaobing and the employees of Sea King Records, today was a big day because Liang Xiaobing's concert on the big stage in Shanghai would be held tonight. What made Liang Xiaobing and Sea King Records happy was that the 16,000 tickets that were publicly released had all been sold out. The other 2,000 tickets that were reserved for internal staff and some officials in Shanghai had all been sent out. With the efforts of more than 200 workers, the stage of the concert as well as all kinds of impactful equipment were already prepared. North Pole Star had spent a lot of money for Liang Xiaobing's concert this time. Not only did it have advanced lasers to create the atmosphere, but it also prepared all kinds of fireworks to set off the climax. Liang Xiaobing had also made preparations for the makeup artist backstage. The makeup artist and the clothing artist had been busy with her for a long time. According to Zhouhao's opinion, Liang Xiaobing did not have thick makeup on her face, and her attire was not as exaggerated as other singers holding concerts. Instead, it was simple and generous. One of the outfits was even the most ordinary t-shirt and jeans. Because Zhouhao had created a friendly image for Liang Xiaobing from the beginning, this kind of dressing was closer to the fans. At this time, Liang Xiaobing also saw more than 10,000 people gathered outside. Those swaying light sticks were especially eye-catching in the darkness. She turned her head and said to Zhouhao, "How? I'm so nervous." Zhouhao grabbed her hand and gently comforted her. "Don't be afraid. I will watch you here. Just treat it as if you were singing in the recording room." "Yeah, it's the same for my first concert. I was very nervous when I was preparing under the stage, but I forgot everything as soon as I got on stage. I only remember to sing for the audience." A figure walked out from the side and comforted Liang Xiaobing. It was Lu Daohua. He was invited as a guest tonight. Other than him, there was also Guo Fuqing. "All right, Xiaobing, the concert is about to start." The manager of Sea King Records walked over and said. Following his words, the colorful lights on the stage outside lit up, and the explosive music also came to mind. Almost 20,000 of the audience knew that the concert was about to begin, and they also started cheering. Liang Xiaobing looked at Zhouhao and saw the gentle smile on his face, so she nodded. Under the lead of the staff, she walked to the lift below the stage and saw that the lift brought Liang Xiaobing up slowly. Zhouhao heard the cheers from the audience outside and knew that they were only attracted by Liang Xiaobing. "Hello, friends from Shanghai." Not long after, Liang Xiaobing's sweet voice was heard. At the same time, another wave of cheers was heard. After that, Liang Xiaobing said a few more words of thanks and thanked the fans for their support. Although her national language could not be said to be authentic, she had finally gone through some tough training and was better than many Hong Kong people. Furthermore, Liang Xiaobing's Mandarin with a Cantonese accent also had an indescribable cuteness that could make people feel pity for her. Following that, the music rang out and Liang Xiaobing officially began her first concert. The first one she sang was her famous song, Chronicles. As Polar North Pole Star had a very good relationship with the radio stations in various places, Chronicles had a very high spread in the country. Following Liang Xiaobing's performance, the surrounding audience could not help but follow. Compared to the national language just now, Liang Xiaobing's pronunciation when she sang was much better, and she was no longer nervous. That sweet and clear voice spread through the stereo equipment to every corner of Shanghai's big stage, making all the audience intoxicated. After singing the song, they suddenly heard a group of audience members in the audience shouting at the top of their lungs, "Xiaobing, I love you." At the same time, she raised a few tablets with Liang Xiaobing's name written in English and Mandarin. Zhou Hao heard them shouting Cantonese and guessed that these people might have come specially from Hong Kong to watch this concert. They could be considered Liang Xiaobing's loyal fans. Under their lead, the surrounding audience also shouted, "Xiaobing, I love you." They rolled around on the Shanghai big stage like waves. Zhou Hao saw Liang Xiaobing on the stage and could not help but shed tears. He sobbed and said thank you to the audience. Seeing Liang Xiaobing so popular with the fans in Shanghai, Zhou Hao, who was watching her from below the stage, was also very pleased. At the same time, seeing Liang Xiaobing being illuminated by the lights on the stage and being the center of attention, Zhou Hao also felt very proud in his heart. This beautiful and charming singer, the popular singer is my, Zhou Hao's, woman. In fact, Liang Xiaobing had changed a lot compared to before. Perhaps because she was nourished by Zhou Hao, Liang Xiaobing not only became more plump and beautiful, but also more beautiful. There was also a kind of charming charm on her body that was not inferior to those international celebrities. When she finished singing the song in the album, Chronicles, Liang Xiaobing started to sing the song of the new album. The main song was The Strongest Familiar. At this moment, The Strongest Familiar had a more fashionable style. However, it did not hurt its charm. Liang Xiaobing only sang once, and the audience immediately went crazy. They all asked Liang Xiaobing to sing again. In response to the audience's request, Liang Xiaobing sang 3 times in a row before reluctantly giving up. The audience below the stage still had an expression of not wanting to continue. They secretly decided that they must buy Liang Xiaobing's new album. Next, I want to sing a new song called Courage. Liang Xiaobing said to the audience, "This song was written by a very important person to me. It was also because he gave me great courage. Now, I will give this song to him." The music sounded and Liang Xiaobing's affectionate voice drifted along with the air. She finally made this decision. "I will ignore what others say. As long as you are sure, I am willing to go to the ends of the earth. I know it's not easy. My heart has been trying to convince me. I'm afraid that you will suddenly say that you want to give up. Love really needs courage. To face rumors and rumors. As long as you look at me with a certain look. The meaning of my love for you. I love 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 you. My love has meaning. We all need courage. To believe that we will be together. I can feel you in the crowd. Put your heart in my palm. If I am strong and willful, I might accidentally hurt you. Can you remind me gently? Although I'm too anxious, I'm afraid I'll miss you." The beautiful and sad melody, the direct and affectionate lyrics, were sung by Liang Xiaobing's warm voice that was like spring rain, causing the audience below the stage to unconsciously immerse themselves in it. Even Zhou Hao, who was below the stage, felt that Liang Xiaobing singing this courage did not dare to say that it surpassed Liang Jingru from her previous life. But at least it was not worse than her, especially since Liang Xiaobing had just said that this courage was specially dedicated to Zhou Hao. The sincere feelings contained in the song was so unique to Zhou Hao. When the audience listened to Liang Xiaobing's song, they were also wondering who this song was going to be dedicated to. Liang Xiaobing said that this song was written by someone very important to her for her. From her tone just now, she was definitely not as simple as ordinary friends with him. And those fans who came specially from Hong Kong to watch this concert and were very familiar with Liang Xiaobing knew that many of her songs were written by Zijun. This Zijun could be considered a famous person in Hong Kong. So they immediately thought of the person that Liang Xiaobing mentioned that was very important to her. Was it Zijun? The reporters in the entertainment magazines at the scene immediately became excited. They knew that Liang Xiaobing had released an incredible piece of news. Under the contrast of the laser and fireworks, the concert reached its climax. Especially when Lu Dehua and Guo Fuqing acted as Liang Xiaobing's special guest on the same stage, it gave the audience a huge surprise. After singing about 40 songs, the concert that lasted for more than 3 hours finally ended. However, the audience who had yet to lose interest started to shout, "ENCRE, active," and couldn't resist the enthusiastic requests of the audience. Liang Xiaobing stayed on the stage for another 30 minutes and sang the Chronicles, The Strongest Familiar, and Courage. Finally, Liang Xiaobing's voice could not support it anymore, so she bid farewell to the reluctant audience and returned to the backstage. As soon as she walked into the backstage, Liang Xiaobing, who had exhausted all her energy, staggered and pounced forward. Zhou Hao, who was quick to react, immediately held her up. Although Liang Xiaobing had exhausted her stamina, her face was still flushed with excitement. She looked at Zhou Hao and said, "How, I am so happy today." Zhou Hao also smiled at her. "Yeah, the fans like you very much." The concert this time was very successful. The surrounding staff members of Sea King Records and North Pole Star were also very happy. They also heaved a long sigh of relief because they had been preparing for this concert for a long time and had put in a lot of effort for it. Today's success was their best reward. "I've already booked a banquet hall at the Sheraton Hotel. Everyone, let's hold a celebration banquet there tonight." Zhou Hao smiled at the employees around him, causing them to cheer. After changing into casual clothes, Liang Xiaobing left the special passage of the Shanghai Big Stage with Zhou Hao's help and Wang Weiwen's company employees. Zhou Hao knew that the front door and the side doors must have been blocked by reporters. However, just as he came out of the special passage, Zhou Hao saw more than 10 strong men blocking the way outside. Wang Weiwen immediately went over and said, Hey, this is the employee passage. Hurry up and get out of the way." He saw a strong man push Wang Weiwen away and walk straight towards Zhou Hao, who was hugging Liang Xiaobing. He did not look at Zhou Hao and said directly to Liang Xiaobing, "Miss Liang, our Mr. Wu wants to treat you to a meal. He will treat you to the car." After saying that, he saw an extended Lincoln car driving over. "Miss Liang, please get in the car." The brawny man opened the rear door of the Lincoln. Liang Xiaobing frowned and said, "What Mr. Wu? I don't know him. You helped to thank him, but I am not free today." "Miss Liang, Mr. Wu said that he must invite you. Please don't make things difficult for us." Zhou Hao saw that the tall man's words didn't sound like it. That kind of bore, but looking at their cold faces, he could guess that Mr. Wu was not some kind man. Without waiting for Zhou Hao to speak, the manager of Sea King Records went forward and said, "Sir, I'm sorry. Xiaobing just finished her concert and is very tired. We really can't accept Mr. Wu's appointment. Please forgive us. Mr. Wu has spoken. Regardless of whether you are willing or not, we will bring Miss Liang to Mr. Wu." The man put his hands on his waist, lifted his shirt slightly, and revealed the black pistol on his waist. Seeing that the man had a murder weapon on him, apart from Zhou Hao and Zhang Daniu, Wang Weiwen and the other employees of the Ocean King Records were shocked and subconsciously took 2 steps back. Although Liang Xiaobing was also a little scared, with Zhou Hao by her side, she felt very safe. Seeing such a situation, Zhou Hao understood that these people and Mr. Wu, who had yet to show himself, even if they were not from the underworld, they were still people who were involved in the dark. He did not have anything else to say. He shouted to Zhang Daniu behind him, "Daniu, beat these people down. They are all robbers." Zhang Daniu was a pure and honest person. He would never use force on ordinary people. With his experience, he would not understand what the underworld was. Therefore, Zhou Hao directly said that this group of people were robbers. Although Zhang Daniu was pure and kind, he knew about pistols. He had heard that these people were going to take Liang Xiaobing to see someone. So after hearing Zhou Hao's words, he firmly believed in their identities as robbers. Zhang Daniu strode in front of Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing, and without saying anything, he raised his fist and punched at the man who spoke just now. When the man saw that Zhang Daniu was not afraid of him, he reached out his hand to pull the spear out, but before his hand could reach his waist, Zhang Daniu's fist had already arrived in front of him, and he didn't even have time to dodge. Bang! A dull sound of flesh colliding rang out, and the man's face turned into a bloody mess. His entire nose had caved in. Zhang Daniu's fist could even kill a cow, so how could an ordinary person withstand it? This was only because Zhang Daniu knew that a person wasn't a cow and didn't use his true strength. Otherwise, the man's head would have been blown up by Zhang Daniu. Even though Zhang Daniu didn't use his true strength, the man was still knocked unconscious on the spot and had no ability to resist. The surrounding 10 people saw that Zhang Daniu had knocked their heads down with one punch. Those who had guns quickly went to pull out their guns. Those who did not have guns also took out sharp knives and steel pipes and other suitable weapons. However, although Zhang Daniu was kind by nature, his ability to adapt to situations on the spot was very strong. When he saw a few people take out their guns, he immediately took out a few coins and threw them at them. He hit the wrists of their guns hard and knocked them down. Zhou Hao, who was standing at the back, was holding a few coins. When he saw Zhang Daniu's move, he was amazed. He did not expect Zhang Daniu to have such a beautiful hidden weapon skill. However, after thinking about it, he felt relieved because the second stage of the Divine Ox Punch was to practice the hidden force. It was also very particular about the word coincidence. While Zhou Hao was thinking, he only heard a series of popping sounds. Zhang Daniu clapped his hands and walked back. The dozen or so subordinates of Mr. Wu all fell to the ground and could not get up, letting out groans. Zhang Daniu only subdued them and did not hurt their lives. Boss, do you want to send them to the Public Security Bureau? Zhang Daniu asked Zhou Hao because he thought it was better to let the police handle the robbers. Zhou Hao nodded. Fine. Wei Wen, call the police and let the police handle it. Wang Wei Wen responded, and Zhou Hao was about to help Liang Xiaobing leave with the other staff. However, he heard the man on the ground roar, "You guys wait and see. Mr. Wu will not let you off." Zhou Hao glanced at the man and said to Zhang Daniu, "Take off his chin." Zhang Daniu immediately went over and grabbed the man's chin. He used his finger to remove the man's chin. Although there was a small episode, Zhou Hao still let the people from the Ocean King records go to the hotel. The celebration banquet was also held. Liang Xiaobing, on the other hand, asked Zhou Hao in the car, "Who are those people? And that Mr. Wu, could it be that they are from the underworld?" In the past, Liang Xiaobing, as an artiste, was most afraid of gangs. Because Hong Kong's entertainment industry was often infiltrated and persecuted by gangs. But now with Zhou Hao's protection, Liang Xiaobing was no longer afraid. Even the two big gang leaders, Xiang Huaqiang and Deny Yongxiao, were polite to her. "I don't know either. It should be a local gang in Shanghai." Zhou Hao said, "To be honest, Shanghai's gang history is much longer than Hong Kong's. Especially in recent times, many gangs took advantage of the country's chaos to rise up. The most famous one is none other than the Qing gang." Liang Xiaobing heard this and could not help but ask curiously, "Is there really a Qing gang? I thought it was just fabricated by television novels." Zhou Hao smiled and shook his head. The Qing gang does exist. It is also a long-established gang in China, but when it was first built, it was called the Qing gang. The Qing gang with 3 o'clock water. Right now, we believe that the Qing gang was created by Wang Yin, Qianjian, and Panqing during Yongjing era. They mainly use transportation as their business, so they're also called the Qing gang. Hee, transportation was a lucrative business at that time, and the transportation gang's influence was spread all over the north and south of the river, so there were a lot of them. However, at the end of the Qing dynasty, due to the frequent wars and the rise of sea shipping, the transportation was greatly affected, and the power of the transportation gang was greatly reduced. Zhou Hao said, later on, a large number of Qing gang disciples entered Shanghai and engaged in various industries. At that time, 80% of the workers in Shanghai were members of the gangs, and the Qing gang took up the most of them. Moreover, due to the special nature of Shanghai, the various countries' rental and revolutionary parties often needed the help of the Qing gang. Even when Japan occupied Shanghai, the special chief of the National General Dai Li still needed to make use of the Qing gang to do the intelligence work. Even the 3 tycoons of Shanghai, Jin Rong, Du Yuexing, and Zhang Xiaolin, as well as Qin Chime of the Alliance, and even Jiang Jishir and Wang Shouhua of the Central Committee, were members of the Qing gang. Liang Xiaobing was amazed when she heard this. "I didn't expect so many famous people to be members of the Qing gang. Of course, many of them are actually just nominal disciples of the Qing gang. They want to get help from the Qing gang." Zhou Hao smiled. Shanghai before the establishment of the country was complicated. The schemes and plots between the various forces were much more powerful than the TV series, Shanghai Beach. "Is there still the Qing gang now?" Liang Xiaobing asked. Zhou Hao nodded. "There is, but it is no longer the same as before. After the establishment of the country, the government would naturally not allow such a powerful association to exist, so as to avoid causing any major problems. Thus, during the initial period of the establishment of the country, a series of cleansing was carried out on the association within the country. That was the earliest severe punishment of our country." Liang Xiaobing pushed him and said in annoyance, "Don't interrupt. Go on." Zhou Hao also raised her curiosity. After a series of actions by the government, the Qing gang in the country was extinguished. I don't know if the real situation is like this. At least that's all we ordinary citizens know." Zhou Hao said, "But back then when the Kuomintang party retreated to Taiwan, a portion of the Qing gang members also followed them to Taiwan. Until now, the Qing gang also has quite a bit of influence in Taiwan. I heard that even the largest gang in Taiwan, the Zhu Alliance, evolved from the Qing gang. And some of the foreign gangs in China also have members of the Qing gang." Speaking up to this point, Zhou Hao said with some ridicule, "It's just that after so many years of change, the Qing gang is no longer the Qing gang of the past. For example, the remnants of the Qing gang of Taiwan and other countries. Although they still have the reputation of being disciples of the Qing gang, they can't be unified at all. They have always been independent. Sometimes, They even have violent conflicts for their own interests. At this time, the staff member of North Pole Star in the driver's seat said with a smile, "Boss, you really know a lot. Actually, we've heard about Mr. Wu before when we came to Shanghai with Mr. Wang to do business." The Mr. Wang Zhou Hao was referring to was Wang Zhonglei. So he asked, "Have you guys heard of him?" The employee nodded. Because of the concert, Mr. Wang and the company had done a lot of work to manage the black and white gangs in Shanghai. We heard from some people in the underworld that there was a big brother in Shanghai called Wu Shihua. He was just a street thug in Shanghai in his early years. Later on, he somehow managed to rope in the deputy director of the Public Security Bureau, and his power expanded very quickly. He also used his relationship with the deputy director to take over a lot of demolition projects and made a lot of money. Later on, he sold construction materials and contracted government projects to increase his financial resources. At the same time, his development in the underworld was also very fast. Zhou Hao's expression did not change at all. The employee continued, "But I heard that he started to wash his face clean a few years ago. He tried his best not to get involved in the underworld. He also opened a real estate company with a net worth of several billion. However, although he did not touch the underworld, everyone knew that he was the most popular boss in Shanghai. Some people even said that he was Du Yueshing from the 1990s. Du Yueshing? Zhou Hao sneered. Although Du Yueshing is not a good person, she is still a formidable character. What ability does that Wu Shihua have to dare call himself the 90s Du Yueshing? Liang Xiaobing said at this time. Could it be that this Wu Shihua is also a disciple of the Qing gang? Zhou Hao shook his head. Maybe. I'm not sure either. After all, Zhou Hao knew about the Green Gang from some wild history and historical records of famous people in his previous life. He did not know the actual situation. The staff member of the North Pole Star said, "We don't know if he is a disciple of the Green Gang, but we heard that Wu Shihua is very lustful. His subordinates often search for beautiful women for him, and even picked female students from some universities and middle schools to give to him. It's said that he raped a few school beauties, and he also got a lot of university students." Hearing this, Zhou Hao frowned deeply, because he hated those guys who raped women. On one hand, he had a strong sense of justice. On the other hand, it was also because he had violated Li Ruolin by force. Although Li Ruolin had already forgiven him and became his woman, he still felt guilty in his heart. Therefore, the people he hated the most were the rapists. Besides, that Wu Shihua really likes female celebrities. The staff member said, "Not only are they female celebrities from Shanghai, but as long as they perform in Shanghai, he will definitely not let go of any female celebrities that he can get his hands on. He will either threaten or entice them. I think this time, he's thinking about Miss Liang." Zhang Daniu, who was sitting in the passenger seat, said, "Boss, don't worry. If he dares to come, I will beat him to death like a cow." He also had a lot of feelings for Liang Xiaobing, because Liang Xiaobing also helped to send his mother to the hospital that time. Furthermore, Liang Xiaobing did not look down on him like other girls and even cared for him very much. Because Liang Xiaobing was 2 or 3 years older than Zhang Daniu subconsciously saw Liang Xiaobing as his eldest sister. If anyone dared to harm her, he would definitely not let them off lightly. Zhou Hao also sneered. If he really doesn't know what's good for him, then I don't mind eradicating evil for the people. After that, Zhou Hao accompanied Liang Xiaobing to the company's celebration banquet and then sent Liang Xiaobing back to the hotel to rest. Zhou Hao did not do anything with Liang Xiaobing because Liang Xiaobing still had to hold the second concert in 2 days and needed to conserve energy. At the same time, to prevent Wu Shihua from secretly using any tricks, Zhou Hao also asked his bodyguard Zhang Daniu to protect her. Liang Xiaobing's concert venue was full for the next 2 concerts, but Zhou Hao did not stay at the venue with her because he needed to deal with the matter of Tianhe. In the meeting room that Wang Zhonglei booked, Zhou Hao was with Zhao Yuqin. At the same time, Zhou Hao was there with Zhao Yuqin. He was also in charge of the domestic stock market for Zhou Hao. Qi Qiwen lowered his head slightly and looked at the ground with a reserved expression. When he just came in and saw Zhao Yuqin, he was immediately shocked by her. He secretly thought that there was actually such a beautiful woman in the real world. She was even more beautiful than the goddess in men's imagination. Whether it was in America or China, whether it was those blue-eyed foreign girls or those delicate and pretty Eastern women, none of the women Qi Yiwen had seen before could remember this beautiful woman in front of him. And looking at her sitting beside Zhou Hao, the two of them also had very intimate expressions. Qi Yiwen guessed that this should be the boss's woman. So he immediately did not dare to look at Zhao Yuqin again, afraid that the shock he gave Zhao Yuqin would cause the boss to dislike her. Disrespecting the boss's woman was a taboo in the workplace. Zhou Hao naturally saw Qi Jiwen's reaction in his eyes. He didn't really care about this. After all, a beauty of Zhao Yuqin's level would attract any male animal. As long as they did not target Zhao Yuqin, Zhou Hao would not have any ill feelings towards her. Boss, after more than a week of hard work, Zhou Hao said, the shares of the 7 companies, from the original average price of 3 renminbi per share, were pulled to 15 renminbi per share by us. Qi Yuan reported to Zhou Hao about the results of his work and said, Boss, I am confident that I can increase their share price to more than 30 renminbi. Zhou Hao smiled to Zhao Yuqin, who was beside him, and said, Sister, do you want to sell your shares? If you want, buy the shares of these 7 companies. I guarantee that you will make money. Zhao Yuqin glanced at Zhou Hao. You are deliberately trying to cheat me, right? Your galaxy was not opened by me back then. If Big Sister wanted to make money, she would have gone to the manor a long time ago. She was very familiar with stocks. Those who could make money were usually those bankers. As for the individual accounts, most of them were fat sheep targeted by bankers. When Qi Jiwen saw Zhao Yuqin cast a flirtatious glance at Zhou Hao, he shivered slightly. He thought that if such a woman was the daughter of an ordinary family or married to an ordinary family, she would have been eaten by those vicious wolves long ago. She could even bring disaster to her family. Only a capable man like the boss could have such a woman. He still did not know Zhao Yuqin's background. Otherwise, he would be even more surprised. Who knows? When the price rises to $30, it will be more or less enough. If it is too much, it will not be enough. Zhou Hao said. The average price of $3 per unit was raised to $30 per unit, which was 10 times higher. If this continued, it would arouse suspicion and affect Zhou Hao's plan. By the way, Xiao Hao, we have received news today that Coca-Cola is going to use 7.3 billion renminbi to buy Sky River, and Pepsi is going to set a price of 7.4 billion. Zhao Yuqin said to Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao smiled. I think someone told us about this on purpose. Zhao Yuqin did not comment and continued. Also, there is a company called Liangjia Investment Company that also proposed to buy it from us. Their purchase price is 8 billion RMB. Liangjia Investment Company? Hee, Liangjia Investment Company. Zhou Hao laughed when he heard that. Isn't it the Liang Family Investment Company? Humph, humph, humph. Xiao Hao, do you want to promise them? Or should we investigate their background first? Zhao Yuqin asked. Zhou Hao waved his hand. As long as they can pay the bill immediately, it will be fine. After all, the purchase price they offered is higher than Coca-Cola and Coke. We don't need to make things difficult for money. Zhao Yuqin nodded and nodded. Then I will go and answer to them. At this moment, Zhao Yuqin wanted to say something to Zhou Hao, but she hesitated and looked at Qi Jiwen. Zhou Hao understood what Zhao Yuqin meant and said to Qi Jiwen, Who is it? You can go back first. Just do according to the plan we made in advance. Qi Jiwen naturally did not want to stay here and disturb Zhou Hao and the others, so he hurriedly left. At this time, Zhao Yuqin also said to Zhou Hao, Xiao Hao, I have already told father about you plotting against the construction and industrial departments. When Zhou Hao heard this, he could not help but feel nervous. After all, the construction bank and the industrial bank were very important state-owned banks. If there were any accidents, it would involve a lot of people. Although Zhou Hao's operation this time was carried out through many leather companies, he wouldn't do it. Someone suspected him. However, this was a serious matter. Zhao Rixin was not only the leader of the country, but also Zhou Hao's foster father. Zhao Yuqin did not find it strange to tell him. Furthermore, it wasn't that Zhao Yuqin didn't trust Zhou Hao. Instead, it was for Zhou Hao's own good. If this matter really implicated Zhou Hao, Zhao Rixin could also mediate for Zhou Hao. With the strength of the Zhao family, it was enough to protect Zhou Hao. What did Godfather say? I told him your original intention. Zhao Yuqin said, Dad said that it's good for you to do so. It's better for you to be a bad person now than for the country to repeat the same mistakes in Korea in the future. But he also said that you shouldn't go too far. Otherwise, if something really happened, he wouldn't be able to protect you openly. With Zhou Hao's thoughts, he naturally knew that Zhao Yuqin told this matter to Zhao Rixin for his own good. Moreover, Zhao Rixin could also help him complete that plan to a certain extent. Taking advantage that there was no one else in the meeting room, Zhou Hao hugged Zhao Yuqin and kissed her hard on the cheek. He smiled and said, I knew sister was the best to me. Oh, don't touch that place. What if someone comes in? Zhao Yuqin knocked off Zhou Hao's naughty hand that was reaching into her skirt and rolled her eyes at Zhou Hao coquettishly. I don't know if it was because I owed you in my previous life. This life is destined to be ruined in the hands of a little enemy like you. Zhou Hao only hugged Zhao Yuqin and giggled at her words. In his previous life, Of course, he did not know Zhao Yuqin. In this life, it was largely due to luck that he was able to meet her. Zhou Hao secretly thanked the heavens in his heart. Not only did it give him a chance to start over again, it also gave him the chance to meet a woman of such quality like Zhao Yuqin. For a woman like Zhao Yuqin, who needed talent, looks, family background, no matter which man got her, they would be able to struggle less than 20 years. Not to mention Zhou Hao and Zhao Yuqin being intimate in the meeting room. In Yangzhou, Liang Fengshan quickly received a report from Jukin Sitaku. Tian he had agreed to the purchase price of 8 billion yuan. Liang Fengshan jumped up from the sofa excitedly after hearing the news and laughed. I knew Zhou Hao would fall into my hands. Jukin Sutaku, go and finish the formalities and take over the Heavenly River. Hehe, Zhou Hao is in Shanghai, right? I have to go there personally. I really want to see what kind of expression Zhou Hao will have when he finds out that I'm the one who bought his Heavenly River. Time passed very quickly. In the blink of an eye, another 2 weeks had passed. Liang Xiaobing's Shanghai concert was held very successfully. Regardless of whether it was in Shanghai or in China, she had gained a lot of popularity and celebrities. Her second album, The Strongest Familiar, and her third album, Courage, also took advantage of this momentum to officially be released. The results of the second and third album were very impressive. On the first day of release, the sales in China exceeded 600,000, and there were 200,000 pieces in Hong Kong. In Taiwan, in Singapore, Malaysia, and other places, there were 350,000 pieces. Therefore, on the first day of release of these two albums, the sales broke the 1 million mark, making the employees of Polar North and Sea King Records very happy. Liang Xiaobing, on the other hand, had also become the most popular singer in the country in one go. She was greatly sought after by many fans, and she was about to begin her tour of the country. What surprised Zhou Hao was that Wu Shihua, who had an ulterior motive for Liang Xiaobing, had not made any moves since he failed to intercept Liang Xiaobing. Wu Shihua did not move, but it did not mean that Zhou Hao did not move. During this period of time, he had people investigate Wu Shihua's background. On the surface, Wu Shihua was just an ordinary underworld boss, and he was doing his best to cover for Zhou Hao. Of course, Zhou Hao knew that someone who could achieve such an achievement in the underworld was definitely not an ordinary person, but he did not have the time to care about Wu Shihua for the time being. Because Liangjia Investment Company had reached the final stage of the purchase of Heavenly River, the 8 billion RMB had been transferred to Zhou Hao's account in batches, and the final share transfer contract between Heavenly River and Liangjia Investment Company had to be signed immediately. Zhou Hao, the 8 billion renminbi has all been transferred to his account. Zhao Yuqin said to Zhou Hao, the people from Liangjia Investment Company are coming today to sign the final share transfer contract. Zhou Hao also smiled and said, yes, that guy should be coming too. He would never let go of this opportunity. Come on, sister, let's go take a look. After that, Zhou Hao and Zhao Yuqin went to the hotel's meeting room. During this period of time, the meeting room of the hotel, which had been booked by the North Pole Star, had become the temporary headquarters of Sky River. When they arrived at the meeting room, the legal representative of Tianhe, Gu Zhongtu, and all the lawyers were already waiting there. The representative of Liangjia Investment Company had not arrived yet. When he saw Zhou Hao and Zhao Yuqin, Gu Zhongtu immediately stood up and greeted them. Boss, Miss Zhao, you're welcome, old Gu. You are the main character today. Zhou Hao said with a smile, then sat in a corner of the meeting room with Zhao Yuqin. Soon, the representative of Liangjia Investment Company arrived. It was a middle-aged man, as well as a few assistants and lawyers. This middle-aged man was the chairman of Liangjia Investment Company, Tian Yudao. Gu Chengtu shook hands with Tian Yudao and smiled. Chairman Tian, I have been waiting for you for a long time. Why did you come so late? I have no choice. Shanghai is too crowded. Tian Yudao also smiled and said, Chairman Gu, those contracts have all been prepared. Yes, they are ready. They are just waiting for you, Chairman Tian. Both parties quickly took out the contracts and relevant documents. The lawyers of both parties also quickly checked them. Finally, Gu Chengtu and Tian Yudao signed the contracts. When Gu Zhongtu signed the contract, he said earnestly to Tian Yudao, Chairman Tian, I hope you can develop Tianhe well. Although Tianhe is now your property, it is still my hard work after all. Tian Yudao hurriedly smiled and said, Of course. We will not let you down, Chairman Gu. While saying this, he secretly glanced at Zhou Hao, who was standing on the other side. Sure enough, he saw the gloomy expression on Zhou Hao's face. After signing the contract, Gu Chengdao let out a long sigh. Chairman Tian, now all the shares of Tianhe belongs to you. I hope you will treat Tianhe and the employees well. Don't worry, I will treat Tianhe well. It was not Tian Yudao who said that, but a male voice from outside. The door of the meeting room was pushed open, and a smiling young man walked in proudly. Liang Fengshan? What are you doing here? Zhou Hao's facial expression changed when he saw this man. He stood up and shouted. This man was Liang Fengshan, followed by Jukin Sutaku and Ding Guangxiang. Liang Fengshan narrowed his eyes and looked at Zhou Hao. When he saw Zhao Yuqin, who had a peerless appearance beside Zhou Hao, he was obviously stunned. This was the first time he saw Zhao Yuqin. That time, under the pressure of Zhao family, Liang Fengshan was forced to give up on fighting Zhou Hao. Although he had witnessed the power of the Zhao family and had spoken to Zhao Yuqin on the phone, he had never seen Zhao Yuqin before. Now that he saw her, he knew that Zhao Yuqin was so outstanding that she was even better than Li Ruolin. In an instant, Liang Fengshan's heart was filled with jealousy. He thought to himself, why are all the women around Zhou Hao so outstanding? Especially Zhao Yuqin. She's beautiful, but she's the daughter of the Zhao family. She has the status of a princess. With his wealth and abilities, there were countless women who were willing to throw themselves into his arms. However, none of them could be compared to Li Ruolin and Zhao Yuqin. However, Liang Fengshan felt slightly better when he recalled that Zhou Hao had been completely defeated by him this time. With an arrogant expression, he said to Zhou Hao, why can't I come? I paid for the purchase of the Heavenly River. Can't I come and take a look? What are you talking about? When did you pay for the Heavenly River? Zhou Hao said unhappily. Boss, this is the contract. Please take a look. At this moment, Tian Yudao handed the contract to Liang Fengshan and respectfully stepped aside. Seeing this, Zhou Hao's expression changed again. He stared fiercely at Liang Fengshan and said in disbelief, that Liangjia investment company is yours? Liang Fengshan laughed loudly, as if he was very satisfied with Zhou Hao's reaction. He said, that's right. This Liangjia investment company is the full capital company of our Fengshan group. It's not wrong to call you an idiot. Liangjia investment company, Liangjia, isn't it our Liang family? Zhou Hao's expression became uglier and uglier. Finally, he shouted, I'm not selling anymore. I can sell it to anyone, but not you. Ha 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 ha. You haven't learned the law? Liang Fengshan laughed and said, now that the contract has been signed, your Tianhe is my property. If you say you don't want to sell it, then don't sell it. He looked at Zhou Hao's angry expression, as if he wanted to eat him alive. Liang Fengshan became happier and happier, especially when he could humiliate Zhou Hao in front of Zhao Yuqin, which made Liang Fengshan very satisfied. He was still thinking, this 8 billion is really worth it? He heard Liang Fengshan sneer at Zhou Hao. Didn't you rely on the Zhao family to support you? So what? I'm going to snatch the Heavenly River from you. You must have lost a lot of money in Korea. You're quite bold to help the gangs launder money? What nonsense are you spouting? A trace of panic flashed across Zhou Hao's eyes, and then he denied it. Liang Fengshan was even happier when he saw the panic in Zhou Hao's eyes. He said, forget it. You won't admit it anyway. Even if you have the support of the Zhao family. But don't worry, I'll take good care of Tianhe for you. You won't have to sell it like you do. Get lost. Get lost. Zhou Hao shouted loudly, as if he had flown into a rage out of humiliation. At this time, Liang Fengshan sighed and said with a hypocritical expression, Zhou Hao, although I have a conflict with you, I can't help but advise you to be more open-minded. This business is talking about the winner and the loser. Don't go crazy. After a pause, he turned his head and said, Zhou Hao, although I have a grudge with you, I can't help but advise you to be more open-minded. Oh right, I remember you sold the recipe and production rights of the orange fruit to Coca-Cola a few days ago. But it doesn't matter. I have the formula anyway. That orange fruit of yours is useless to me. It's just a waste of my time to get rid of everything related to the orange fruit in Tianhe. He deliberately mentioned this to Zhou Hao. He was the one who told Zhou Liren to steal the recipe of orange and orange. He still did not know that Zhou Liren was Zhou Hao's father. Otherwise, he would be even happier. Miss Zhao, what's so good about a stupid guy like him? I think you should come with me. Liang Fengshan smiled at Zhao Yuqin. Liang Fengshan, get lost. Zhou Hao roared. Looking at how Zhou Hao wanted to eat someone, Liang Fengshan laughed out loud and left with Jukin Sutaku, Ding Guangxiong, and the others. What no one noticed was that before Ding Guangxiong left, he glanced at Zhou Hao. It happened to meet Zhou Hao's eyes. However, the two of them only exchanged a glance. Without saying anything, Ding Guangxiong followed Liang Fengshan and left. Boss. Gu Chengtu looked at the furious Zhou Hao and wanted to comfort him, but he didn't know where to start. Zhao Yuqin shook her head at him. You guys go back first. Therefore, Gu Chengtu left with the lawyers and gently closed the door. Only Zhou Hao and Zhao Yuqin were left in the meeting room. Zhao Yuqin looked at Zhou Hao with a smile. You little brat, your acting skills are pretty good. At this moment, the anger on Zhou Hao's face disappeared without a trace. He even had a smile on his face. The difference between them was huge. He said with a smile, let Liang Fengshan be proud of himself for a while. Anyway, he won't be able to jump around for long. On the same day that Liangjia Investment Group signed the acquisition contract with Tianhe Drink Group, Fengshan Group, the parent company of Liangjia Investment Group, held a press conference in Shanghai to announce the successful acquisition of Tianhe Drink Group. This piece of news immediately exploded in the domestic public opinion community. The reporters from the Duojia television station and newspapers were still chasing after Coca-Cola and Pepsi, the two largest companies that were most likely to acquire Tianhe Drink Group. They hoped to get some information from them, but they did not expect the Fengshan Group to suddenly publicize this explosive piece of news. The suspicion about the purchase of the Tianhe Drink Group had attracted a lot of attention in the country. So the Fengshan Group that people remembered by suing the Heavenly River Drink Group was even more eye-catching this time. Even the two people who were eager to buy the Heavenly River Drink Group, Dai Jiaxian and Zhu Huaxi, were stunned by the sudden emergence of the Fengshan Group. They called Zhou Hao to verify their claims. After getting confirmation from Zhou Hao, Dai Jiaxian could not help but say that Zhou Hao was not good enough to be friends with him. Zhou Hao also said that he had been tricked. Before this, he did not even know that Liangjia Investment Company was the Fengshan Group's cover. The one who represented the Fengshan Group in hosting the press conference was Jukan Sutaku. He calmly answered the questions of all the reporters present and announced the next series of marketing plans of the Fengshan Group. According to Jukan Sutaku, the Fengshan Group intended to become the largest private beverage company in the country. They even wanted to compete with Coca-Cola and Pepsi. It had to be said that although Jukan Sutaku was young, his calm and composed temperament made the reporters present very worried, especially since the sharpness shown by Fengshan Group was irresistible. It was as if they could beat the two giants, Coca-Cola and Pepsi. When the press conference ended, the reporters surrounded Jukan Sutaku and asked him questions. It took Jukan Sutaku a lot of effort to break through the tight encirclement. After that, he went to the presidential suite of Shangri-La Hotel because Liang Fengshan was there. When he arrived, Liang Fengshan and Ding Guangxiang were watching the news of the Fengshan Group's press conference. Seeing Jukan Sutaku return, Liang Fengshan said, "This time I let you show your face. It feels good, right? Humph. Humph. If it wasn't for the fact that I'm afraid that it might affect my dad, I'm going to host that reception. How could it be your turn?" Regarding Liang Fengshan's words, Jukan Sutaku naturally wouldn't talk back, in order to avoid incurring Liang Fengshan's dissatisfaction. After that, he saw Liang Fengshan's excited expression. But seeing Zhou Hao's fierce look just now, it was really too satisfying. Hee. Especially in front of Zhao Yuqin, to be able to humiliate him like this, 8 billion was really worth it. At this time, Jukan Sutaku said, using 8 billion to buy the Heavenly River Drink Group, although the price is a bit high, it is still considered good. Although Tianhe sold the recipe and production rights of the orange fruit to Coca-Cola before, but we already have the recipe for orange fruit, so it's not very important to us. The biggest value of Sky River is the mineral water development rights and the production base in Jingyu County. Other than that, there's also the technical development department of Sky River. According to what I know, Zhou Hao invested a lot of money into the technical development department. Just the research equipment alone is worth more than 1 billion renminbi. Jukan Sutaku said, that's why they are able to use the orange fruit formula so quickly. With this technology development department, it will be very beneficial for our group. Liang Fengshan waved his hand and said indifferently, you just need to do these things. Anyway, as long as you don't lose money. For Liang Fengshan, the biggest meaning of using these 8 billion to buy the Heavenly River Drink Group was to defeat Zhou Hao and humiliate him. As for other aspects, it was secondary. Now, he was thinking about whether he should find evidence that Zhou Hao helped the gangs to launder money and pass it to his father, Liang Zhendong. The political faction that Liang Zhoutang belonged to was neither a friend nor an enemy of the Zhao family. Previously, when he was unable to deal with Zhou Hao and Yang Zhou, not only did Liang Fengshan hate Zhou Hao, he even hated the Zhao family behind Zhou Hao. Therefore, this time, he found evidence that Zhou Hao helped the gangs to launder money and handed it over to Liang Zhoutang. It would be best if the Zhao family was implicated as well. Liang Fengshan was thinking, if the Zhao family collapsed, wouldn't he be able to get his hands on Zhou Hao if he wanted to deal with him? Furthermore, perhaps Zhao Yuqin would also fall into his hands. Even if he couldn't defeat the Zhao family, he should be able to force the Zhao family to abandon Zhou Hao in order to get rid of him. At that time, he would still be able to attack Zhou Hao. Without the support of the Zhao family, Zhou Hao was just like that fox without a tiger. He could slaughter it however he wanted. After leaving Liang Fengshan's room, Jukin Sitaku returned to his own room. He turned on the TV. The financial news was being broadcasted inside. He stood in front of the window and looked at the scenery outside. He frowned deeply and muttered to himself, did Zhou Hao really lose to Liang Fengshan just like that? Or did he have another trick up his sleeve? But now that the Heavenly River has already fallen into the hands of the Fengshan group, there is no room for negotiation. What else can he do? Today, the Shanghai stock market's overall index fell slightly. The voice of the financial news anchor came from the TV. The main reason is that the shares of Great Wall's Yidong Industrial Group, Fujian South Paper, Shangkong Investment Group, and other companies have been dropping recently. So far, the average share price has fallen from 30 renminbi to 6 renminbi and 70%. According to the experts' analysis, the shares of these few companies will continue to fall. Listening to the financial news on TV, Jukin Sitaku did not pay much attention to it. He just said involuntarily, I don't know if that banker is playing with the stock market again. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration and his body shook. He immediately turned around and rushed to the front of the TV, staring at the screen. He muttered to himself, wait, Great Wall City 1 East, Fujian Southern Paper, Shangkong Investment, Zhongqiu Electricity, Changzhou Hua, Yahua International, Jinggu Forestry, these companies. He turned around and picked up his briefcase. He kept looking through it and finally found a piece of information. When he opened it, his face revealed a look of disbelief as if he was talking in a dream. What a good Zhou Hao, what a deep scheme. Liang Fengshan is finished this time. Liang Xintang will not be able to escape either. 2 days later, Liang Fengshan, who had been touring Shanghai, took a plane back to Nanjing. But when he got off the plane, Liang Fengshan saw an unexpected person coming to pick him up. It was actually Liang Zhoutang. When he saw Liang Zhoutang coming to pick him up, Liang Fengshan was instantly stunned. Because even if it was father and son, as the governor of a province, Liang Zhoutang would never personally come to pick up Liang Fengshan's plane. However, Liang Fengshan soon felt relieved. He thought that his father must have found out about his great victory this time, so he specially came to praise him. Therefore, Liang Fengshan welcomed him with great joy. However, Jukin Sitaku, who was following behind, clearly saw that Liang Zhoutang's expression was very ugly, even though Liang Zhoutang was usually a reserved person. But this time, Jukin Sitaku was sensitive to the feeling that Liang Xintang was not due to his usual habits, but was truly angry. Looks like my guess is correct. Things have really become like that. Jukin Sitaku thought in his heart, but he did not show anything on his face. He continued to quietly follow behind Liang Fengshan. Liang Fengshan came in front of Liang Zhoutang and said with a smile, Dad, why did you come to pick me up? Liang Xintang glanced at his son, then said coldly, Follow me into the car. Seeing Liang Zhoutang's cold expression, Liang Fengshan did not show any displeasure, because he knew his dad's character. Even if he were to praise him, he would not do it in front of others. So he followed Liang Zhoutang into his private car without any hesitation. The moment they sat in the car, Liang Zhoutang stared at Liang Fengshan and asked in a very stern tone, Fengshan, tell me honestly, how much did you borrow from the construction bank and industrial and commercial bank? Liang Fengshan, who originally thought that Liang Zhoutang would praise him, was baffled when he heard it. What's wrong, Dad? Why did you suddenly ask this? Don't make a fool of yourself. Hurry up and say it. Although Liang Zhoutang lowered his voice, he could still hear the anger in his voice, as well as some tenseness that he deliberately concealed. Although Liang Fengshan knew Liang Zhoutang's quiet personality, it was also the first time he heard Liang Zhoutang's tone be so severe, so he immediately said, adding everything together, it seems to be more than 1 billion and 2 billion. What? Liang Zhoutang's entire body trembled, and he could not help but roar, more than 2 billion? Didn't you only owe 2 banks more than 3 billion previously? Why did you suddenly owe 8 billion? Where the F***ck did you use the money for? Even as the governor of a province, he couldn't help but curse at his son. Liang Fengshan had never seen his father so furious. He was so scared that he shrank his neck and said obediently, I used my money to buy a company called Sky River. I wanted to buy Coca-Cola and Pepsi, but I secretly cut it off. He deliberately told Liang Zhoutang that Coca-Cola and Pepsi wanted to buy Sky River Drink Group, but he did not say that Sky River was Zhou Hao's business. Because of this, the value of Tianhe could be seen. Moreover, Liang Zhoutang knew him very well. If he told Liang Zhoutang that Tianhe was Zhou Hao's business, Liang Zhoutang would definitely know that he went to buy Tianhe to attack Zhou Hao. As expected, Liang Shutang's expression eased up a little. Then, he said to Liang Fengshan, "Sell that so-called Sky River to me immediately. Return the money to the construction bank and the workers' bank as soon as possible, including the 3 billion you borrowed earlier." What? What? Dad, you must be joking, right? Liang Fengshan's first reaction was not to be puzzled, but to find it funny. He thought that Liang Xintang was joking with him, because Liang Xuantang's suggestion was too ridiculous. However, the corner of Liang Zhoutang's mouth was still slightly downwards, and there was not even a hint of a smile in his eyes. This made Liang Fengshan realize that his father was not joking. He was speaking seriously. Liang Fengshan clearly found it very difficult to accept. He said, "Dad, why? For yourself, for me, and even more for the Liang family." Liang Zhoutang said seriously, "Do you know that the State Department has ordered several state-owned banks to thoroughly investigate more than 1 billion yuan worth of loans, especially for private companies?" Seeing Liang Fengshan's puzzled expression, Liang Xintang sighed and said, "I don't know which guy is the boss, but this month, he has caused the share prices of a few listed companies to be extremely high. He even forced those listed companies to close their stock prices. But the problem is, these listed companies all owe the construction bank and industrial bank a huge loan of more than 30 billion yuan. So when they are done playing, the construction bank and industrial bank were also dragged in, and a huge amount of bad debts appeared. Also, the few listed companies that the construction bank and industrial bank invested in Hong Kong and the United States were also maliciously attacked and suffered heavy losses." Liang Zhoutang said, "This way, the financial problems of the construction bank and the industrial bank are even more prominent." This matter was spread to the higher-ups. After the State Department researched it, they found that several large banks in our country have loosened their audit of loans. Some companies can easily get huge loans. If those companies are not good at managing, or do not have enough funds to pay off their debts, they will bring a large amount of bad debts to the banks. Liang Fengshan knew nothing about economics, so he only understood what Liang Zhoutang said. Liang Zhoutang shook his head. Moreover, due to the recent financial storms in South Korea, the stock market and currency have almost collapsed. One of the main reasons is that their country's bank approvals are too easy. Therefore, in order to prevent our country from repeating the same mistakes in South Korea, the State Department ordered the few largest state-owned banks to investigate more than 1 billion yuan worth of loans. He leaned back in his chair and said with some emotion, "In fact, those banks also know that many companies get loans through bribing officials or internal staff of banks. How can they be investigated? But this time, the central government suspects that Soros and those international speculators want to deal with our country's financial industry. Therefore, in order not to be harmed, the central government's attitude is very firm. Even if we don't thoroughly investigate the banks, we still need to find a few to be a typical example." Liang Zhoutang turned his head to look at Liang Fengshan and said, "You are my son, so your identity is more sensitive than those ordinary entrepreneurs. Moreover, you borrowed more than 10 billion from 2 banks, so you will definitely be listed as a key target for investigation." He pressed on Liang Fengshan's shoulder and said earnestly, "Fengshan, if you make it through this time, then it will be over. If something happens to you, to be honest, although your father has already reached this position, however, I don't know how many people are watching me. If anything goes wrong, it will be a situation where everyone will push me down." Liang Fengshan broke out in cold sweat when he heard that. He knew how many infuriating things he had done over the years. If it wasn't for Liang Zhoutang supporting him, he would have been torn into pieces a long time ago. He didn't dare imagine what would happen to him after Liang Zhoutang fell. He said, "Dad, don't worry. The combined assets of Fengshan Group and Heavenly River are definitely worth 10 billion. There won't be any situation where the funds are not enough to pay the debts. There won't be any problem." Liang Sun-tang nodded. He knew that the reason why the construction bank and industrial bank were willing to provide such a huge loan to Liang Fengshan was entirely because of him. Of course, this was also because the assets of Fengshan Group and the Heavenly River Drink Group were worth that much. Otherwise, it would be a huge hole of over 10 billion. Even the president of the bank wouldn't dare to commit such a crime. However, it was precisely because of Liang Xuantang's sensitive identity that it involved Liang Fengshan's loan that the central government would investigate more strictly. Liang Xintang was also an ambitious person. He did not want to stop in Jiangsu province. His goal was to squeeze into the central government and enter the true leadership. If anything went wrong this time, not only would the political future not have a chance to advance, but he might even be kicked out of the office. So he said to Liang Fengshan, just in case, you owe the construction bank and the workers' bank money. You better pay them back as soon as possible. At least half of it has to be paid off first. Otherwise, it will be troublesome if you get caught. How about this? Didn't you say that Coca-Cola and Pepsi are interested in buying that Sky River? You can sell the Sky River to them. Liang Fengshan hesitated for a moment, but he remembered that everything he had was because of Liang Zhoutang, or rather, it was because of Liang Zhoutang's official position. If there was anything wrong with Liang Zhoutang, he would be the one who would be harmed in the end. So he quickly agreed. Anyway, he had already snatched the Sky River from Zhou Hao's hands. Even if he sold the Sky River to Coca-Cola or Coke, he could totally say that he did it on purpose to humiliate Zhou Hao. He would not be suspected by Zhou Hao. If Zhou Hao knew that he needed to rely on selling the Sky River to pay off his debt, it would be shameful. Everything he had done before would be meaningless. After discussing with Liang Zhoutang for a while, Liang Fengshan quickly returned to the headquarters of Fengshan Group and called Jukin Sitaku and Ding Guangxiong over. Jukin Sitaku, contact Coca-Cola and Coke immediately and ask them if they are interested in Heavenly River. Liang Fengshan said to Jukin Sitaku. Jukin Sitaku was shocked when he heard what Liang Fengshan said. He thought to himself, as expected, it is exactly what I thought. However, his face did not reveal any unusual expression. Instead, he frowned and said, "But young Master Liang, we just held a press conference and announced a series of plans for the company. If we were to sell Heavenly River at this time, it would be a slap in the face." Liang Fengshan pondered for a moment, then waved his hand and said, "We can't care about that anymore. Okay, but according to what I see, the most interested thing about Coca-Cola and Pepsi is Tianhe's mineral water development rights in Jingyu County and the large production base. The value of this is more than half of Tianhe. As for the Technology Development Department of Tianhe, Coca-Cola and Pepsi are two major beverage companies in the world. Their development technology is only higher than Tianhe's, so they won't be interested in the Technology Development Department of Tianhe, especially Coca-Cola, which has already obtained the orange formula for the orange fruit. You mean we can't sell Sky River as a whole this time, and we can only sell the mining spring development rights of Jingyu County?" Liang Fengshan asked. Jukin Sitaka nodded. Yes, Coca-Cola and Coke aren't easy to fool. They won't make a loss, so it's impossible for them to buy the entire Sky River. They can only be sold separately. How much is the mineral water development rights and the large production base in Jingyu County worth? This was what Liang Fengshan was most concerned about. Jukin Sitaku thought for a while and honestly said, not less than 4 billion yuan. He knew that the market for mineral water in the country was getting bigger and bigger. As long as he had the right to develop the mineral water in Jingyu County, he believed that it would bring him several times the profit in a few years. However, he did not tell Liang Fengshan about this. When Liang Fengshan heard that the right to develop the mineral water in Jingyu County and the production base were worth 4 billion, he was delighted in his heart. This 4 billion plus the more than 1 billion that the Fengshan Group could use would be enough to pay back half of the loan, allowing him to pass this hurdle. Therefore, he said, "All right, then you should hurry up and do it. You must get 4 billion back as soon as possible." "But we still need the finance department's cooperation," Jukin Sitaka said. Liang Fengshan immediately asked his secretary to call the finance director, who was also his aunt, in. After telling the matter to the aunt, she looked at Liang Fengshan with a strange expression, as if she wanted to say something but stopped herself. "Aunt, what's wrong with you? You look like you're constipated. If you have anything to say, just say it." Liang Fengshan was not afraid of this aunt of his and said impatiently, "General Feng, the mineral water development rights and production base cannot be sold." She said, "What? Why can't I sell it?" Liang Fengshan said in surprise, "I bought them with real money and silver. They are my property. Why can't I sell them?" His aunt took a deep breath and said, "Because when we bought the Sky River, we had a three-way agreement with the local government in Jingyu County to ensure that the local economy of Jingyu County would not be affected. After we bought the Sky River, we can't sell the mineral water rights and the production base for 5 years. Also, is there such a thing?" Liang Fengshan said in disbelief. He really didn't know about this matter, because all the purchases were handed over to his subordinates. He only cared about the result, and that was to acquire the Heavenly River. 5 years, 5 years, 5 years, King years. Liang Fengshan paced back and forth for a few steps before he finally said angrily, "After 5 years, everything will be cold." He stared at his aunt and gritted his teeth. "Is there any room for turning back?" His aunt shook her head. "No. The contract stipulates that if we break the contract, The Jingyu County government has the right to take back the rights to development. Liang Fengshan's heart turned cold when he heard what his aunt said. He hurriedly said to Jukin Sutaku, the combined wealth of Fengshan Group and Heavenly River should be worth 13 billion, right? In this case, even if we don't have the money to return to the bank, it shouldn't be a problem. Jukin Sutaku shook his head and said, Fengshan Group's production equipment and factory combined should be more than 3 billion. However, the factories under the Fengshan Group were originally state-owned enterprises. They had a large amount of debt before we bought them. If it was in the past, it wouldn't have mattered. But now, the bank will conduct an audit of our financial situation, so the debts will be added to our debts. If that's the case, Fengshan Group's total assets will only be around 2.5 billion. The state-owned beverage companies that Fengshan Group had purchased had a lot of debts due to the corruption of their leadership. After the acquisition of Fengshan Group, the debts were transferred to Fengshan Group's finances. If it was in the past, because of Liang Zhoutong's relationship, no one would dare to chase the debt from the Fengshan Group. Those debts were just the numbers on the Fengshan Group's account. But now, the bank wanted to investigate the big client of the Fengshan Group. And because it was directly ordered by the State Department this time, although the back of the Fengshan Group was Liang Zhoutong, the bank did not dare to show favoritism. So the numbers on the Fengshan Group's account would directly become the Fengshan Group's debt. Jukin Sutaku continued. Also, the value of Heavenly River's assets is not as high as 8 billion. Although the rights to the mineral water in Jingyu County cannot be sold, it will not affect its value. The value of the mineral water rights in Jingyu County in the production base was still 4 billion. The combined value of the Technology Development Department and other factories in Tianhe County was probably 1.5 billion. Therefore, all of Tianhe's assets are worth only 5 billion. Didn't you say that Sky River is worth 8 billion? Liang Fengshan asked. That was before the Heavenly River sold the recipe and production rights of the orange fruit to Coca-Cola. Liang Fengshan's face changed drastically and he asked again, but didn't Coca-Cola and Coca-Cola also pay more than 7 billion to buy Tianhe? If the Heavenly River was only worth 55 billion, how would they be willing to do it? Jukin Sataka said, I don't know about that. Maybe they know that the Heavenly River has other value. Liang Fengshan's facial expression kept changing. This time, he was really panicking. All the assets of Fengshan Group and the Heavenly River Drink Group added up. He owed more than 13 billion to the Construction Bank and Industrial Bank, which was more than 5 billion. Our company still has about 1 billion liquid funds. Jukin Sataka said, in that case, the difference between our company's assets and debts is more than 4 billion. But in fact, assets are not only the fixed assets and liquid assets of the company, but also invisible assets, such as our brand and our company's potential for development. So, if we can make the valuation report look better, there shouldn't be much problem with the bank. After listening to Jukin Sataka's words, Liang Fengshan heaved a sigh of relief. His expression was no longer as ugly as before. On the surface, Jukin Sataku was trying to comfort Liang Fengshan, but in fact, he was sneering in his heart. It can't be that simple. Zhou hasn't finished his move yet. Sure enough, as soon as Jukin Sataku finished speaking, a secretary pushed open the door and walked in. He looked very anxious. Liang Fengshan was already in a bad mood, and when he saw the secretary bumping into him, he immediately cursed. What the F***CK is going on with you? You didn't even knock on the door? Director, General Manager, I'm sorry. The secretary quickly apologized and said, something happened. Coca-Cola Company filed a lawsuit against the Supreme Court, accusing our company of infringing on their patent. This news was like a bomb thrown into Liang Fengshan's heart, making his head buzz. He said angrily, how is that possible? Why would Coca-Cola suddenly sue us? The secretary said, Coca-Cola Company said that they had bought the formula of orange fruit from Tianhe and even held a press conference. They said that our company's orange fruit violated the patent of orange fruit. Coca-Cola bought the formula and production rights of orange juice from the Heavenly River Drink Group. So the patent protection that the Heavenly River Drink Group originally applied to the country was transferred to Coca-Cola. Liang Fengshan was well aware that he had indeed sent someone to steal the formula of the orange grains. He said, what evidence does Coca-Cola have that we violated their patent? They are framing us. Seeing Liang Fengshan's furious face, the secretary took a step back in fear. General Manager, Sales Department, Human Resources Department, and Production Department Manager. The secretary timidly said. They. What happened to them? Liang Fengshan shouted. They attended the Coca-Cola press conference. which proved that our company sent people to steal the formula for the orange fruit. What? Liang Fengshan felt like he was struck by lightning, because he never would have thought that the managers of the three important departments of his company would turn against him at the same time and accuse him of stealing the formula of orange fruit. Jukin Sutaku, who was beside him, was also very emotional. He subconsciously guessed that the reason why the three managers betrayed the Fengshan Group was not because of Coca-Cola, but because of Zhou Hao. However, judging from the current situation, no one would think of Zhou Hao. They would believe that Coca-Cola was doing this to protect their own interests. The chances of Fengshan Group winning this lawsuit was very low, because when Fengshan Group was suing Sky River, the court had already decided that the formula of orange fruit was the patent of Sky River. Now, it was the Coca-Cola patent. And now, the three managers of the Fengshan Group had come to testify. This was a very strong evidence. On the other hand, the scale of Coca-Cola and Sky River were not on the same level. Even if the government of Jiangsu province wanted to protect the Fengshan Group, it would not help because Coca-Cola was a world-famous company. If they were not careful, it could cause diplomatic problems. In this way, the most important product of the Fengshan Group, more cream, would be ordered to stop production. At the same time, the brand and reputation of the Fengshan Group would be destroyed. Young Master Liang, if that's the case, our company's invisible assets will also be gone. Jukin Sutaka spoke at this time. Furthermore, this time, our company is not simply unable to repay the debt. Our company's reputation has been destroyed, and our potential for development has been greatly reduced. Therefore, our company is not only unable to repay the debt, but also does not have the ability to repay the debt. He sighed, and now, both the construction bank and the industrial bank are strictly investigating the loan projects. Therefore, they might force our company to liquidate the bankruptcy to pay the loan. Liang Fengshan's face was pale. He suddenly fell to the ground and murmured, How? How could this be? The day before, he was still immersed in the excitement of defeating Zhou Hao, but he did not expect to fall into such a situation today. Furthermore, this time, it wasn't just the matter of Fengshan Group's bankruptcy, it would also implicate Liang Zhoutang. Not only would Liang Zhoutang have no hope of advancing, he might even be disciplined and investigated because of economic issues. Perhaps even the position of provincial governor would be shaken. At this moment, another secretary also came in. Behind him were more than 10 people in police uniforms and a few men in suits and suits. The secretary saw Liang Fengshan sitting on the ground with a dejected look. He was shocked at first, then hesitated and said, General Manager, these are comrades from the Public Security Department. They want to ask you to help investigate the matter of stealing the orange formula. And these few people are from the China Silver Supervision Committee. They said that they want to investigate our company's finances. The leading police officer went forward and said to Liang Fengshan, Mr. Liang, we are from the Ministry of Public Security's Economic Crimes Investigation Department. We want you to help investigate the matter of Fengshan Group stealing the orange fruit formula. Please come with us. Perhaps Coca-Cola Company knew about Fengshan Group's Beijing, so they put pressure on government of China and asked the Ministry of Public Security to directly investigate the case. Liang Fengshan suddenly shivered, then pointed at Jukin Sutaku and shouted, I have no idea about the orange fruit formula. He is responsible for everything. You catching him has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me. Jukin Sutaku's face changed. He did not expect this. Liang Fengshan would push the blame onto him in this situation. Before he could say anything, 2 policemen came over and stopped him. The commander just now said, Take them all back. Although Liang Fengshan was also going to be taken away, he was not too worried. If an ordinary person entered the Public Security Bureau, even if they did not die, they would be skinned alive. But he was still the son of the provincial governor. At least he would not be interrogated by the police. However, the few people from the China Silver Supervision Committee also walked over and said to Liang Fengshan, Mr. Liang, we are from the China Silver Supervision and Management Committee. Because your Fengshan Group owes the Construction Bank and the Industrial and Commercial Bank a total of $3,560 million in loans, we want to check your company's financial situation. Please cooperate. Liang Fengshan looked up at the serious faces of the staff members of the Silver Supervision Board. His face looked a little dejected. He muttered to himself, It's over. It's all over this time. Looking at the dark and damp detention room, Jukin Sutaku's lips curved into a self-deprecating smile. I didn't think that after a year, I would come in again. Counting the number, he had been here for a week. The strange thing was that the police did not interrogate him, nor did they interrogate him. They just imprisoned him. Not only that, The police also told him the news outside. This time, the State Department ordered a thorough investigation of the major bank's large loans. It was directly investigated by the central government and the Silver Supervisor Board. Even the internal staff of the major banks were not allowed to participate in the investigation, in case someone wanted to cover up the evidence. After this thorough investigation, they found a lot of things. Several provincial branch presidents were arrested for accepting bribes and arbitrarily approving large amounts of loans. As a result, the agricultural bank president was suspended. Of course, this information was consciously blocked by the government, so most of the people were not clear about it. At the same time, as Jukin Satako had expected, the Silver Supervisors had found out that the Fengshan Group was unable to repay their debt. Also, due to the theft of the orange fruit formula, the image of the Fengshan Group's business had been completely destroyed. The Supreme Court had also ordered the orange fruit to stop production. As they did not have the ability to repay the debt, the Construction Bank and the Industrial and Commercial Bank had jointly issued a request to the court to force the Fengshan Group to go bankrupt and clear the market. In the end, the court approved their application to force the Fengshan Group to go bankrupt. They also allowed the Construction Bank and the Industrial Bank to clear the market with the Fengshan Group to pay off the Fengshan Group's debt. The Fengshan Group held a press conference a few days ago and announced that they had successfully acquired the Heavenly River Drink Group. They also talked about their future development plans and became the most popular company in the country. Not long after, the news of the Fengshan Group being cleared by the bank spread. The media in the country went into an uproar and caused a huge storm. It had not calmed down for a long time. However, these policemen from the Economic Crimes Investigation Department only told Jukin Sataku about the Fengshan Group. They did not have any information about Liang Fengshan and Liang Zhendong. However, Jukin Sataku thought that since the Fengshan Group had fallen to such a state, Liang Zhoutang and Liang Fengshan wouldn't be any better. Jukin Sataku laid on this simple and crude bed made of stone slabs and rested his hands on his head. He looked at the moldy ceiling above his head and quietly thought about the series of events that had happened in the Fengshan Group. Jukin Sataku, someone is here to see you. A police officer suddenly walked in and shouted at Jukin Sataku. Jukin Sataku sat up and was very confused. At this time, who would come and see me? He saw a tall and handsome young man walk in with a faint smile on his face. Jukin Sataku was stunned when he saw this man. He frowned and said, "It's you?" The person who came was Zhou Hao. Jukin Sataku had seen him in the photo provided by Liang Fengshan. Jukin Sataku was also present when Liang Fengshan came to Shanghai to humiliate Zhou Hao. That was why he recognized Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao smiled and nodded at Jukin Sataku, then said, "Mr. Shangwan, are you all right?" He saw that the policeman had brought a chair for Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao was sitting in front of the iron bars of the detention room. Jukin Sataku frowned even more deeply. "What are you doing here? Do you know that Liang Fengshan is pushing all the blame on you?" Zhou Hao said with a smile. "I know. With his personality, it is not strange for him to do this." Jukin Sataku looked up at Zhou Hao. "Speaking of which, it is all thanks to you. I thought you were really defeated by Liang Fengshan. I never thought that Liang Fengshan would be the prey that fell into the trap. You, a hunter, have set him up from the very beginning." "Oh." Zhou Hao laughed and said, "You can tell?" Jukin Sataku took a deep breath. "Now that I think about it, based on the time, you have been scheming since the time of the Fengshan Group and Heavenly River's lawsuit. Although Heavenly River won the lawsuit, the court has determined that the orange fruit formula is Heavenly River's property. However, after the incident, you didn't sue the Fengshan Group for stealing the orange formula. You probably wanted Coca-Cola to deal with the Fengshan Group today, so that you could get someone else to kill you. Coca-Cola is much stronger than Sky River. It can even put pressure on the government and make the government directly send the Ministry of Public Security to investigate the case." Zhou Hao sat leisurely on the chair and listened to Jukin Sataku. "Then, you sold the formula and production rights of orange fruit to Coca-Cola. In order to maximize the potential of orange fruit, Coca-Cola naturally would not allow similar products to exist. That's why they put so much effort into dealing with Fengshan Group. It's as you wish," he said. "Also, you deliberately released the news to make Liang Fengshan think that your investment had lost a lot of money and urgently needed funds to make a turnaround. At the same time, you found Coca-Cola and Pepsi, respectively, and expressed that you were willing to sell Tianhe. Their two companies were old rivals and were interested in Tianhe at the same time, so they would definitely compete for it." He touched the root of his beard and organized his thoughts. He continued, "You know Liang Fengshan will not let go of this opportunity after he knows that you have no money. The price of Coca-Cola and Pepsi also forced Liang Fengshan to raise the purchase price to 8 billion, which is far higher than the actual value of Sky River. Here, Coca-Cola and Pepsi played the role of raising the price. Jukin Sataku said, not only that, in order to make Fengshan Group suffer a crushing defeat, you even plotted against the Construction Bank and the Industrial Bank. This time, the State Department ordered all the major banks to investigate the large loans, and you were the one who pushed it. At this time, Zhou Hao laughed. Why do you think so? You also said it. That was an order from the State Department. How could I interfere? Even if I want to interfere, I can't do it. Jukin Sataku said seriously, of course you don't have the possibility of directly interfering with the State Department, but you can influence it in a roundabout way. During this period of time, including the Great Wall's First East and the other 7 companies listed on the Shanghai Stock Exchange, the share price was controlled by a big banker, and the average share price, which was less than 3 yuan, was pulled to 30 yuan. When all of you are sold, these shares will immediately plunge. The continuous drop rates for a few days will cause them to suffer a huge blow. The reason you want to mess with those companies in the east of the Great Wall is because they all owe money to the Construction Bank and the Workers' Bank. In total, you owe them more than 30 billion. At the same time, the few listed companies that the Construction Bank and the Workers' Bank invested in overseas were also attacked, causing them to suffer heavy losses. During this period of time, Korea had been hit by the financial storm, causing its economy to rapidly decline. One of the main reasons was that companies were too easy to get loans from banks. Thus, in order to not repeat the mistakes of Korea, our government plans to get loans from banks, especially in terms of large loans. This is a big matter that concerns the economy of the country. In addition, the people from the Zhao family have also mentioned it. The State Department will soon make this decision. At this time, the Fengshan Group owes more than 13 billion yuan. Moreover, you have deliberately formed a 3-way agreement with the local government of Jingyu County, so that the Fengshan Group won't be able to resell the mineral water rights for the next 5 years, so that the Fengshan Group won't be able to raise funds. Jukin Sataku took a deep breath. All of this is like invisible threads, slowly trapping the Fengshan Group, making it impossible for them to escape. If I didn't happen to see the news about the few listed companies in the east of Great Wall City, if I didn't happen to know that they all owe money to the Construction Bank and Workers' Bank, I wouldn't have been able to see through your schemes. Jukin Sataku stared at Zhou Hao closely and saw the careless smile on Zhou Hao's face. A trace of fear flashed across Jukin Sataku's eyes. He said, if this is all your imagination, then you are really too scary. You are even scarier than anyone I have ever seen. Liang Fengshan is no match for you. This time, Liang Xintang and Liang Fengshan had already involved themselves in illegal loans. Furthermore, the amount of money involved in the case had reached more than 10 billion. Even father and son could not escape. Liang Xintang might not even be able to keep his position as governor. He asked himself, if it wasn't for some luck factor, he wouldn't have been able to tell that the series of events were actually related. Each link was linked to the other, making it impossible for Liang Fengshan and Fengshan Group to escape. Besides, he was afraid that he had fallen into Zhou Hao's trap. If the Fengshan Group fell, he, as the deputy general manager, wouldn't be able to escape, let alone Liang Fengshan, who had blamed him for everything. Jukin Sataku suddenly remembered that ever since he was locked up, those policemen did not torture him for interrogation. They did not even interrogate him normally. Thinking of this, he suddenly looked at Zhou Hao and asked, did you ask those policemen not to interrogate me? Regarding this, Zhou Hao just smiled lightly and said, since you are also Liang Fengshan's enemy, I don't need to make things difficult for you. After all, the enemy of an enemy is a friend. Jukin Sataku's expression changed slightly. What do you know? You were originally brought out of prison by Liang Fengshan through connections. Zhou Hao smiled and said, before this, you have already been in prison for 2 years. You are guilty of economic fraud. What Liang Fengshan did not know was that the reason you did that financial scam was to deal with him. Zhou Hao said to Jukin Sataku with a smile, you originally lived in a solid family. At that time, you were studying at Zhongshan University. Your father was framed as a murderer because of an accident and was sentenced to a life sentence by the court. And he was tortured to death by the prison head in the detention center in less than a month. Your mother was afraid that you would be worried, so she didn't tell you. She even made an appeal along the way, but she was sent to the mental hospital. She also died in there in less than a month's time. When it was announced to the public, she died because of drug sensitivity. Looking at Jukin Sataku's darkening face, Zhou Hao continued, when you knew everything, your parents were no longer there. Later on, you found out that the real murderer was actually one of Liang Fengshan's subordinates. In order to protect his subordinates, Liang Fengshan used his own power to intervene in the law, which directly led to the death of your parents. You wanted revenge, but you knew that your strength was too far from Liang Fengshan's, so you wanted to increase your capital through business. Zhou Hao felt a little regretful when he said this. With your talent, if you can endure for 10 years and concentrate on developing your business, it won't be hard for you to become a wealthy person. However, you were in a hurry to take revenge, so you went against the rules and did the economic scam. Although you earned a lot of money, you were still arrested in the end. Maybe it was because Liang Fengshan had done too many evil deeds. So, you didn't know that you were the child of the person he had harmed. You only knew that you had good business skills, so you were sent out of prison to manage Fengshan Group for him. The reason why Liang Fengshan took a fancy to Jukin Sutaku and didn't hire those senior executives was because Jukin Sutaku was from the prison. In other words, Liang Fengshan had something on him that would make it easier for him to control Jukin Sutaku. Another reason was that Jukin Sutaku's talent was indeed outstanding. Through a series of commercial fraud, he had turned the original 1 million into 300 million within a year and a half. But he heard Jukin Sutaku ask with a solemn face, "Where did you find out about these things?" Because he thought that he hid these secrets very well. Otherwise, he would not be able to deceive Liang Fengshan. "I have my own ways." Zhou Hao smiled. "I know that the reason you promised Liang Fengshan to help him manage the Fengshan Group is actually to collect the evidence of his crimes. Fortunately, you can take it out when the time is right." "You want the evidence?" Jukin Sutaku stared at Zhou Hao with a mocking look in his eyes. Zhou Hao shrugged. "Actually, you also know that even without your evidence, Liang Fengshan and his son would not be able to escape this time. Your evidence is just the icing on the cake. Think about it. I have the ability to help you get your revenge. Furthermore, after this matter, I'm afraid that you will have to return to the prison. Are you really willing to do this?" Jukin Sutaku narrowed his eyes. What Zhou Hao said was the truth. He had a deep grudge with Liang Fengshan, and Zhou Hao had the ability to take revenge for him. Furthermore, he could tell that Zhou Hao had the same feelings as Liang Fengshan, and that he loved Jukin Sutaku. So he said, "You mean you can help me get out of prison? I can do whatever Liang Fengshan can, but I can also do what Liang Fengshan can't." Zhou Hao smiled at Jukin Sutaku and said, "You are very smart to be able to see through my plans." Actually, when Fengshan Group took the advertisement and used the lawsuit against Heavenly River to hype things up, I knew Liang Fengshan had a master by his side to help him. Now, it seems like that expert is you. Jukin Sutaku smiled. "Thank you, boss, for your appreciation. I, Zhongzhe, am very honored." His change in attitude towards Zhou Hao meant that he had already decided to work for Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao could help him get revenge. At the same time, Zhou Hao played Liang Fengshan in the palm of his hand, making it impossible for him to escape. This made him admire Zhou Hao. Liang Fengshan bribed the construction bank and industrial bank to obtain the evidence of a huge loan, as well as those fake accounts from the Fengshan Group. I put them in the water tank of the toilet at home. Jukin Sutaku said, "The evidence is enough for Liang Fengshan to be imprisoned for more than 20 years. Zhou Hao nodded. "Thank you." The policeman just walked in and opened the iron gate that locked Jukin Sutaku. He loosened the iron shackles on Jukin Sutaku's feet and gave him his ID card. Jukin Sutaku looked at Zhou Hao in surprise. I can leave now? Didn't you say that Liang Fengshan pushed all the blame onto me?" Zhou Hao smiled and said, "The managers who accused Fengshan Group of stealing the orange fruit formula have clearly stated that everything was ordered by Liang Fengshan. It has nothing to do with you." Jukin Sutaku was stunned. He naturally understood that this was all because of Zhou Hao. In this way, it seemed that Zhou Hao already knew that he would work for him before coming here. "Oh right, boss." Jukin Sutaku asked Zhou Hao, "What about the Heavenly River? Although you have sold the Heavenly River, the potential of the Heavenly River is very strong. Are you really going to give up just like that?" Zhou Hao looked at him with a smile and said, "If it were you, what would you do?" Jukin Sutaku knew that Zhou Hao was testing him. He thought for a while and said, "I know. The construction and construction companies are going to auction off the entire Fengshan Group, including the Heavenly River. You can buy them back. Moreover, the original assets of the Fengshan Group and the Heavenly River only cost 8 billion yuan at most. That is the money Liang Fengshan gave you back then. As for the mineral water rights that you can't sell for the next 5 years, Jingyu County was originally an agreement made under your instructions. They will naturally agree to whatever you want to do." Zhou Hao had played it very well. Back then, Liang Fengshan had used 8 billion to purchase the Heavenly River. Now, Zhou Hao had also used 8 billion, but not only had he bought the Heavenly River, he had also bought all the assets of Fengshan Group. Furthermore, With the Zhao family's connections, the price offered by the construction and construction companies would probably be lower than 8 billion. Therefore, Zhou Hao had gained a lot. However, Coca-Cola and Pepsi should also be interested in the Fengshan Group. If they want to compete with you, what should we do? Jukin Sitako asked again. Haha, they also borrowed money from a few banks when they built their factories in China. Now the Silver Supervision Committee is investigating their finances. They can't afford the 8 billion anymore. Zhou Hao smiled and said. Jukin Sitaku finally understood. It turned out that Zhou Hao had planned this all along. The bank investigation this time had not only affected Fengshan Group, but also Coca-Cola and Pepsi. In this way, the only person in the country who had the courage to take out 8 billion to buy the assets of the Fengshan Group was Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao could use this to gain the upper hand and lower the price. After Zhou Hao left the Public Security Bureau, Jukin Sitaku asked again, Boss, there is one thing I don't understand. After you sold the recipe and production rights of the orange fruit to Coca-Cola, the value of Sky River was not as high as the 7 billion that Coca-Cola and Pepsi had set. How could they offer such a high price? Because they believe that I have developed a new type of beverage that has a lot of market space. Zhou Hao smiled. Jukin Sitaku was stunned for a moment. Then he said in surprise, Boss, you really developed that new drink, right? Otherwise, Coca-Cola and Pepsi wouldn't be so easily fooled. We need to set some bait. Zhou Hao looked like an experienced hunter when he smiled. Jukin Sutaka nodded. The Fengshan Group had gone through a series of changes, and their reputation had been ruined. Therefore, to buy it back from the construction and industrial departments, not only would they have to pay billions, they would also have to prepare to clean up this mess. In China, there were people who could take out 8 billion, but no one wanted to be a burden with a bleak future. Zhou Hao's new beverage was clearly able to restore this mess to its former glory. Actually, I have already reached an initial agreement with the construction bank and the industrial bank. The original production equipment and factory of Fengshan Group, as well as the assets of Heavenly River, I will buy them all back. The price is 1 billion yuan. Zhou Hao said to Jukin Sutaku, I know you are very talented in business, so I want you to integrate the original assets of Fengshan Group with Heavenly River and become the new vice president of Heavenly River. The reason Zhou Hao made this decision was not only because Jukin Sutaku was capable, but also because he wanted to lighten Zhao Yuqin's burden. After all, Zhao Yuqin had to take the credit for the scale of the Sky River today. She had also contributed a lot to the Sky River. Zhou Hao did not want to see her tire so much, so he let Jukin Sitaku be the vice president to assist Zhao Yuqin. Jukin Sitaku was not a pretentious person. He thought for a while and nodded in agreement. The two sat in the car. A man in the passenger seat turned around and greeted Jukin Sitaku in the back seat with a smile. Manager Shangwan, we meet again. Jukin Sitaku was greatly shocked when he saw this man. He exclaimed, Ding Guangxiong? You. When he saw Zhou Hao smiling beside him, Jukin Sitaku completely understood. He thought to himself, Liang Fengshan, you deserve to be defeated. It turned out that Zhou Hao's chess pieces had been buried by your side for a long time. He recalled the time when Ding Guangxiong tried to persuade Liang Fengshan to buy the Sky River. He was also the one who told Liang Fengshan that Zhou Hao had a huge debt due to his failed investment. The few managers who had come out to testify against Liang Fengshan were the ones Ding Guangxiong had tried to win over when he first came to the Fengshan Group. Jukin Sutaku couldn't help but sigh. It was as if Liang Fengshan was trapped in an inescapable net, unable to escape from Zhou Hao's grasp. He couldn't help but look at the smiling Zhou Hao who was sitting next to him. He thought to himself, Zhou Hao is so young, yet he was able to plot against others without leaving any traces behind. This was truly admirable and frightening. I don't think your name is Ding Guangxiong, Jukin Sutaku said to Ding Guangxiong with a bitter smile. Ding Guangxiong smiled. It's not convenient to say my real name, but those who really know me are called rats. It turned out that this Ding Guangxiong was one of the commercial spies that Zhou Hao had discovered and forcefully subdued at that time. Zhou Hao said to Mouse, you'd better go and see Liang Fengshan. He must be very lonely in the detention center. He. Now Liang Zhoutang has been suspended. Those people who had been harmed by Liang Fengshan in the past are now all interviewing him. Ratty said with a sinister smile. Liang Fengshan is truly heartless. It has been an eye-opener for me to follow him during this period of time. Any one of his crimes is enough for him to eat bullets. Zhou Hao shook his head slightly. Although Liang Zhoutang was suspended, it is very difficult for him to be pushed to the bottom when his position is at his level. Take this matter as an example. The worst outcome would be that he would be transferred out of the provincial governor's position and have an idle job in the province to retire. Although China has developed to this extent, The concept of not being able to punish a doctor is still very strong. When Jukin Sutaka heard this, he slightly lowered his head. No one knew what he was thinking. Besides, Liang Fengshan's side was the same as Jukin Sutaku. He had been locked up for a whole week. The only difference was that people from the Economic Crimes Investigation Department came to question him every day about stealing the formula of the orange fruit, illegal loans, and fraud. He denied all of these charges and blamed Jukin Sutaku for everything, claiming that he knew nothing. The police didn't tell Liang Fengshan about the situation outside, so he didn't know that his Fengshan group had been auctioned off by the bank. Today, the people from the Department of Investigation Services didn't come to question him. He subconsciously felt that something was not right, so he grabbed the iron branches on the iron fence and shouted, "Hey, let me out. My dad is the governor, and my dad is Liang Zhoutang. Let me out." No one answered after shouting for a long time. Only Liang Fengshan's own voice echoed continuously in the detention room. It was the first time Liang Fengshan realized that his father's name did not work, but he still shouted, "I want to see my father. Someone, I want to see my father." In the past week, Liang Fengshan had been busy. He was rich and powerful, so how could he adapt to such a life? In particular, he was very uneasy in his heart, because he did not know what kind of impact this matter would bring to Liang Xiantang. At this moment, the door on the other side was pushed open. A policeman said to Liang Fengshan, "Liang Fengshan, someone came to see you." Liang Fengshan immediately became excited when he heard that. He saw a man in a suit and shoes walk in. Liang Fengshan recognized this person at a glance because he was very familiar with this man. This man was Liang Zhoutang's secretary, and they were good friends. "Young Master Liang, are you all right?" When Fengshan saw this man, he asked. Liang Fengshan's hair was messy and his roots were thickly covered. "Let's not worry about this for now," Liang Fengshan impatiently said. "How's the situation outside? How's my dad?" "Young Master Liang, you have to be mentally prepared." Rong Xiaoping looked at Liang Fengshan carefully. Liang Fengshan's heart skipped a beat. He took a deep breath. He said, "Go ahead." Rong Xiaoping nodded and said, "The Fengshan Group has been forced to close its stock market. The 2 provincial branch presidents who were in charge of giving you loans were arrested for breaking the law. Now, the government is going to sue you for bribery. Also, many people have reported that you have illegally invaded state-owned assets, manipulated gangs, and raped women. Young Master Liang, the situation this time is very bad. There are already many people who have brought out a lot of evidence, as well as the matter of you falsifying accounts. The Public Security Bureau has already filed a case investigation." Liang Fengshan knew his own problems. None of those crimes have wronged him. However, compared to these, what he cared about the most was Liang Zhoutang's situation. As long as Liang Zhoutang didn't fall, those people wouldn't be able to do anything to him, and the Fengshan Group could be rebuilt at any time. Therefore, he hurriedly asked Rong Xiaoping, "Secretary Rong, where's my dad? How's his condition?" "Governor Liang, he was suspended." Prime Minister Rong hesitated for a moment, but still said it. This sentence was like a sharp sword piercing into Liang Fengshan's heart. He knew that Liang Zhoutang was implicated by his own matter. And his friend, Rong Xiaoping, also said, "Young Master Liang, don't be afraid. Governor Liang's suspension is only temporary. Right now, the discipline committee is mainly investigating your problem. Governor Liang has always been very cautious when doing things, so there are no problems with his side. Furthermore, Governor Liang still has people above him. He won't collapse so easily." But after hearing the words of a good friend, Liang Fengshan's hope was ignited again. He immediately asked, "But what?" But the higher-ups said that the evidence is conclusive. Even if they can protect Governor Liang, they can't protect you. When Rong Xiaoping saw Liang Fengshan's ashen face, he quickly said, "But young Master Liang, don't worry. Governor Liang has already arranged everything for you." He whispered a few words into Liang Fengshan's ear. Liang Fengshan's facial expression kept changing, but in the end, he still nodded his head. After completing the task given by Liang Zhoutang, the 2 of them left together. Liang Fengshan did not make a big fuss anymore and quietly sat on the stone bed, but his expression kept changing. When it was past 11 o'clock in the evening, Liang Fengshan hugged his stomach and started rolling on the ground. He kept screaming, It hurts so much. Help. Someone help me. It hurts so much." The police quickly opened the door and shouted at Liang Fengshan, who was rolling on the ground. "What's going on?" I think I have food poisoning. Take me to the hospital," Liang Fengshan said. The policeman immediately said to the speaker, "The prisoner in room 5 is in trouble. Come here quickly." Very quickly, They prepared a car and took Liang Fengshan out of the Public Security Bureau. It was a police car, a Toyota brand. It was in the car. In addition to Liang Fengshan, who was handcuffed, there were 4 other policemen. The police car did not drive in the direction of the hospital. Instead, it went straight to the dock by the sea. The policeman next to Liang Fengshan unlocked his handcuffs and said to Liang Fengshan, "Young Master Liang, let's go to the dock now. There will be someone there to pick you up." Governor Liang said that you should take a boat to Hong Kong first, then go to Thailand from Hong Kong, and then go to New Zealand. He had already arranged a new identity for you in New Zealand. When the news is less urgent in the future, you might be able to come back or live directly in New Zealand. Liang Fengshan nodded in confusion. When he was in the detention center, they had told him that because of the crimes he had committed, it was not suitable for him to stay in the country anymore. Otherwise, he would have to be shot to death. Therefore, Liang Zhoutang had arranged for him to leave China, and these few policemen were the people that Liang Zhoutang had arranged for him. However, although the environment overseas was better than in China, Liang Fengshan had lived here for so many years after all. He was always a little reluctant, but since things had already come to this point, if he did not escape as soon as possible, what awaited him would be death. About an hour later, Liang Fengshan and the others arrived at the pier. Apart from the large cargo ships, there were also many small fishing boats, which could easily be used as a distraction. Liang Fengshan and the others arrived at one of the docks. As it was already late at night, apart from a few cargo ships that happened to arrive at the harbor, all the fishing boats had turned off their lights. The police car faced the boundless sea in front of them. The headlights at the front of the car flickered, but it was a signal. Not only that, a little bit of light appeared on the originally dark surface of the sea. It was also flickering at a fixed frequency. Clearly, it was also a signal. "It's them, young Master Liang. Let's go over," one of the police officers said. When the ship reached the shore, Liang Fengshan found it was a fishing boat about 10 meters long. However, although it was dressed like a fishing ship, its speed and sound were clearly equipped with a very powerful engine. Its speed was much faster than an ordinary fishing ship. A man jumped from the bow of the fishing ship to the shore, walked towards Liang Fengshan, and shouted happily, "Boss, you're finally here. Hey Xiong, why are you here?" Liang Fengshan was also very surprised, because the person in front of him was Ding Guangxiang. Ever since he was arrested, Liang Fengshan hadn't heard any news about Ding Guangxiang. Ding Guangxiang said, "It's like this. Governor Liang knows that I am more familiar with Hong Kong and know people from the underworld, so he arranged for me to meet you." A police officer said doubtfully, "Huh? Didn't they say Old Turtle came to receive young Master Liang?" Ding Guangxiang scratched his head and smiled. "Old armored fish. He was on the boat. Young Master Liang, there's not much time left. Let's hurry up and leave." Liang Fengshan still had a lot of trust in Ding Guangxiang. When those policemen saw that Liang Fengshan knew Ding Guangxiang, they no longer had any doubts. Just like that, Liang Fengshan followed Ding Guangxiang onto the fishing boat, and the police also had to report back. Fishing boats equipped with powerful engines galloped across the surface of the sea, quickly distancing themselves from the docks and ports, heading deeper and deeper into the sea. The night sky was covered with clouds, covering the moon and the stars. At first glance, it seemed like it was hard to tell which was the sea and which was the sky. In the darkness, only this fishing boat was emitting a weak light. Liang Fengshan sat at the bow of the ship, allowing the strong smell of the sea breeze to hit him. He was still thinking about the changes that had happened during this period of time. Originally, he was a proud son of heaven, had an unimaginable family background and wealth, and owned a company worth tens of billions. But now, he had to escape overseas like a rat that couldn't see the light of day. At this time, Ding Guangxiang walked over and even brought a cup of steaming hot coffee to Liang Fengshan. Liang Fengshan took a sip of the coffee and asked Ding Guangxiang, "Black Bear, do you think I can come back?" "To be honest, I don't know either." Ding Guangxiang spread his hands and said, "Tell me, why did things turn out like this? I still don't understand." Liang Fengshan said in a daze. Ding Guangxiang smiled. "You don't have to worry. You will understand soon." Liang Fengshan did not understand what Ding Guangxiang meant. Especially when he saw Ding Guangxiang's expression, there was always a strange feeling. It was as if he was looking at a person who was about to die. At this moment, another light appeared on the surface of the sea in the distance. It seemed to be another ship, and that ship was heading towards them at a very high speed. Liang Fengshan felt that something was amiss and asked Ding Guangxiang beside him, "Black Bear, who is that person?" "Don't worry, they are here to meet up." Ding Guangxiang smiled. Soon, the boat arrived. Liang Fengshan saw it was a white luxury yacht. The people on Liang Fengshan's boat shouted, and the two boats leaned against each other. Two people appeared on the boat, and they jumped onto the boat. Due to the dim lighting, Liang Fengshan could not see the faces of the two people. He could only see that they were walking towards him. Liang Fengshan, how have you been? The leader of the group asked. Liang Fengshan was shocked. He stared at the man in front of him, because he was too familiar with the voice just now. At this moment, the lights on the fishing boat lit up, and the two people's faces became clear. Liang Fengshan took a deep breath because these two men were Zhou Hao and Jukin Sitaku. Liang Fengshan was already shocked when he saw Zhou Hao here. What surprised him even more was that Jukin Sitaku was also with Zhou Hao. This made Liang Fengshan dumbfounded. Zhou Hao, why are you here? Liang Fengshan asked Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao smiled faintly. I have been waiting for you here for a long time. What do you mean? Liang Fengshan subconsciously took 2 steps back because he knew Zhou Hao knew martial arts. Zhou Hao said, I know you will run away from crime, so I asked Rat to bring you here. Oh, you don't know yet. Lao Shu is Ding Guangxiang. Who is beside you? What? Black Bear? You? Liang Fengshan looked at Ding Guangxiang, who was beside him, in disbelief. He saw Ding Guangxiang, Lao Shu, kick Liang Fengshan in the knee without saying anything. Liang Fengshan couldn't help but kneel down. Lao Shu also grabbed his neck. At this time, Liang Fengshan still didn't understand what Lao Shu meant. Lao Shu was truly a fool. He shouted, Hey Xiong, so you are Zhou Hao's dog. To think I treated you so well. I even suppressed your case in the Public Security Bureau. Ratty chuckled. Young Master Liang, you still don't know? That case was originally forged by my boss. I didn't even drive to kill the traffic police. It was all a lie. Right, I'm not from Jiangsu. I just know how to speak the Jiangsu dialect. You. Then you are with Biao Wang in Macau, and that wife of Biao Wang. Liang Fengshan suddenly woke up at this time. If Lao Shu had planned this beforehand, then he met that woman in Macau and was kidnapped by Biao Wang. Someone had planned this. Young Master Liang, are you talking about me? A female voice came from the cabin, and a graceful figure walked out. Liang Fengshan almost fainted when he saw this woman, because this woman was the seductive woman he met at the Macau Hotel in Macau. Liang Fengshan, whose head was pressed down, stared at Zhou Hao and said while gnashing his teeth, Good. Zhou Hao, so all of this was arranged by you. Good. But you don't have to be happy. Your heavenly river has been taken away by me. You have to remember this. I, Liang Fengshan, have defeated you. This seemed to be the last thing that could support Liang Fengshan. It was the fact that he had once defeated Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao smiled and shook his head. Jukin Sataka sneered and said, You still don't know, do you? The boss sold you the Heavenly River on purpose. Now, the boss has bought the entire Fengshan Group and the Heavenly River from the Construction and Works Department, and it only costs 7 billion yuan. He looked at Liang Fengshan with extreme disdain. In fact, every step you take is within the boss's calculations. From the moment you bought the Heavenly River, the result was already decided. To think that you were still immersed in such self-righteous joy. However, even if I told you everything, you wouldn't understand the wonders of it. After all, you are just an ignorant and incompetent second-generation ancestor. This was the first time Jukin Sitaku had used such a tone to ridicule Liang Fengshan. He felt extremely delighted in his heart. Jukin Sitaku. Liang Fengshan was so angry that his veins were bulging. He squeezed out a sentence from his teeth. I want to send you back to prison. Jukin Sitaku shook his head. Do you think you can do it? I advise you to take care of yourself first. AI, Liang Fengshan, if you hadn't provoked me back then, perhaps you could still enjoy your life now. Zhou Hao sighed with emotion. Back then, you tried to touch Ruolin. If it wasn't for the fact that you had a father who was the provincial governor, I would have torn you in half a long time ago. He recalled that Liang Fengshan had captured Li Ruolin at that time. If he had not rushed over in time, Li Ruolin would have been in danger of losing her life. At that time, Zhou Hao already had the intention to kill Liang Fengshan, but Liang Zhoutang was the governor of Jiangsu province, so the energy he had in his hands was not that simple. Even if Zhou Hao assassinated Liang Fengshan at that time, Liang Zhoutang would still suspect him, and he might also implicate the Zhao family. If Liang Fengshan didn't provoke Zhou Hao anymore, perhaps Zhou Hao wouldn't care about him anymore. However, Liang Fengshan did not give up, and even used all means to deal with Zhou Hao's Heavenly River. In the end, Zhou Liren betrayed Zhou Hao and Yin Tong again. Therefore, Zhou Hao had carefully planned this series of events. He had pushed Liang Fengshan into a dead end, and at the same time, he didn't want others to suspect him. Zhou Hao looked down at Liang Fengshan from above. His killing intent could not be hidden from his smile. I say, young Master Liang, this is the open sea. There is no one else within 100 miles apart from us. Even if you die, your dad won't know who did it. I thought you had encountered some kind of storm and died. Liang Fengshan's heart trembled violently when he saw Zhou Hao's gaze. He knew that Zhou Hao had really aroused his killing intent. Besides, this wasn't Jiangsu. No one could help him. Liang Fengshan naturally wasn't a hero with a tough bone. Because he had enjoyed wealth and wealth before, he cherished his life more than ordinary people. And he was even more afraid of death than ordinary people. He immediately begged Zhou Hao for mercy. Zhou Hao, no, big brother Zhou, I have offended you in the past. You are my fault, but I have been